Hello everybody and welcome into our latest live video. Today, what's today? The 8th, 9th?
I know it's Friday, that's for sure.
I gotta check my phone. I don't even know the date. It's the 9th of the 9th month.
9/9, yeah.
Of 2022. I probably should silence my phone, you know what? We're running a little bit late because I just set up another camera. Let me know what you think of the video quality of this camera. This is a completely different camera. We're gonna continue running the audio off of last week's camera because the audio seems to work really well.
So how's our audio? Are we getting a 5x5?
Yeah, let us know what the picture and audio quality are. And welcome in to all our good friends here. I see joining us in the chat, including but not limited to, of course, our good friend Peter Laycock. Peter also sent an Amazon gift card earlier, and as always, thank you so much, Peter. Our good friend Rick Lakes contributes $15 in Super Chat contribution. Of course, thank you to Rick Lakes. And to all our familiar names and faces here. Well, I guess they're not faces. There's Luke Greenia joining us from Vermont. 3D Everything, The Greek. And Chris Garrett is in there. Mark Baggett. Peter Laycock contributes 20 pounds in Super Chat. He says, good evening, Carrie and Mitch and everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh, am I saying that right? Edinburgh?
57.
57 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 14 degrees Celsius. Hey, I wish a few more days I'll be in Michigan. It can't happen soon enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, wow, we got about almost 200 people joining us, eager and waiting for our show today.
We got about a 10-degree difference from Wednesday, might have been 104. Then today, I think it's 94. So it's coming down little by little.
I don't know. According to what I saw, forecast was 100. It was 100. It was over 100 degrees for the next 10 days or something. So we haven't hit the maximum heat yet today. Like right now, it's. Hold on, let me refresh. Because it gets hotter until about 4 or 5 o'clock. It's 97 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's going to get hotter. And we're in September. It's September. So we're going to get through. Look, August is over. The worst of it's over. We're just at the tail end of it. Never come to Phoenix in August unless you like misery. September still, it still feels like August because we're right at the beginning. But yeah, Michigan's coming up for the vacation. I want to apologize that I wanted to make 3 videos this week. But those darn customers keep getting in my way, Mitch.
That they will do sometimes. And the customer comes first.
Somebody left a comment. It's like, I can't believe in a city as big as where you live, you don't have a repair video. I guess PCs must be running much more reliably now. And I'm like, well, that's one heck of an assumption, isn't it? I have done 11 computer repairs. Was it this week or the last 10 days? About half, little less than half, were remotes. So I can't show you those. 2 of those were on site, and those customers are way on the other side of town. I'm obviously not bringing a camera with me to my customers. They're businesses, by the way. And then I had 3 repairs here that were for customers that when I asked if I could show it, they said, I'd rather you didn't. And they needed it done quick. So I've been trying to sort of wind down the business side, not shut it down, but just maybe do 1/10 of it. But apparently nobody's told the customers that because they all started calling. A couple of my customers do taxes, and there's an extension deadline for September 15th, so all my CPAs are busy, and they've been calling me. One has a really bizarre computer problem. I was there till late hours last night trying to figure this thing out. It, like, you go to print to a PDF, and it says, okay, it's printed, and you get a 0K file. You try and print a JPEG, it says, okay, I'm printing, but the print spooler never starts. And my remote access says it's not online, so I can no longer access it remotely. So I went over there last night and did some cleanup. I mean, they had 14 gigs in the recycle bin. There, when I did the disk cleanup, there was over 7 gigs. Malwarebytes was scanning, and it needed, first of all, there was an update it was waiting on, and the customer didn't know if it was a real update or a fake one, so they ignored it. So I went and updated. And after about 15 minutes, it was scanning file number 240,000, and there was no sign of it stopping. And I'm like, I got other things to do. I'll do this from home remotely. I uninstalled Instant House Call, reinstalled it again. And then when I got home last night, the first thing I tried to do was connect to it, and it says your customer's computer's offline, which is what it was doing before. So that's an ongoing issue, and I can't do too much because if I make the computer so it doesn't boot, she's not going to be too happy with this September 15th. Let her. She's working around the print issues, but this is not a good time to make a mistake and have it not work at all. Ian Gooch says 17 degrees Celsius in London and 84 degrees Fahrenheit here in Milford, Ohio, says David Herzog. Tom Backenstow just became a supporter. Right on, guys. I promise content specifically for supporters, and I have not delivered on it, and I'm aware of it. All right, I understand that my schedule has not been what I was expecting it to be, but I will tell you this. There will be exclusive member content that only members are going to see, at least initially, before I release it to the public. Second, to interact with me, you must be a member or a moderator. We don't want people, ne'er-do-wells, jumping into the chat, spammers, bots, doing all that other stuff. So there's already that advantage. Secondly, or thirdly, it's still helping to support the channel regardless, and I need to get myself to a place where I can take on some new projects. I have sold, I think I've done 11 or 12 computers the last 2.5 weeks. A gentleman called me and he wants to buy Thready's Revenge. Okay. And he lives in Scottsdale, which means I don't have to ship it. But in order for me to sell it, I gotta clean it. It's got some dust. I'm gonna throw a 3090 Ti in it. Whew. And I love Thready's Revenge. I just don't have any use for it. And the original Threadripper is still the original streamer at Studio 8, now that we've got it working. The problem with the original Threadripper is it's slow by comparison of a modern consumer CPU. It's like 4 or 5 years old now. It's solid as a rock. It works great. It's just not as fast as, but Thready's Revenge is super fast. And I can't remember what I put in it. I got to go through the inventory, figure out what I paid for it. I think it's around, I want to say it's $6,000 in parts that I was able to pick up for around $4,700, but with sales tax, it took me right to about $5,000. And then I need to discount it a little bit since it's like a year old. And then I'll sell it. This guy wants to run multiple virtual machines, and this is an ideal platform, and I never thought anybody was going to buy it. So I had to go over to Studio A, it's also something I had to do this week, and load up Thready's Revenge to bring it back over here. I just knew I was going to use it someday. I didn't. So anyway, I'd like to get that all done before I leave for vacation. And I got 2 other machines sold that already went out 3 days ago. And then prior to that, the tax person, I've got a machine I got to deliver to them by the end of next week. So the good news is I'm moving a lot of computers. All those computers that you and I built on this channel that we started, they never got finished, folks. So I had about 60. I think I'm down. I've got 9 in the other room, and then there's a couple other little ones around. So basically, there's 9 motherboards that are prepped waiting for cases. I'm going to have about 4 or 5 computers that are older machines that are being retired. I'm going to clean those up. Those will be veteran giveaways. I don't know if I'll get to any of those before I leave. And I've got the Train PC. I need to take it back apart to get that little rubber sleeve off, because I think the heatsink's not sitting, but everything has to come out. Yeah. But I'm going to do that off camera. So if I'm not making videos, it's not because I don't have any ideas or I don't have any content. It's because I got customers. My phone rang off the hook with support calls. One customer was still using Internet Explorer, and they kept getting a message with their Cox email saying that, you have to upgrade your browser. She doesn't know what any of that means. She's like, an 85-year-old lady, and she's like, I don't know what this is. And she called me on Labor Day. Like, really? You're going to call me on Labor Day?
I wanted you to labor. All right.
And I don't charge. She's a really nice lady, and I like her. And I don't hear from her but maybe 2-3 times a year. She says, let me pay you. I said, it's fine. She goes, when you come over next time, I'm going to write you a check. I said, okay. I'm okay with that, but you don't need to pay me right now. And all I had her do was just download Chrome. And I ended up connecting with Instant House Call.
Okay.
And she's just got an icon that says email. And of course, it still opens to Internet Explorer. I don't know how she was able to use Internet Explorer instead of Edge on Windows 10. So, and it's not in the installed list, so I can't uninstall Internet Explorer. So what I did was I just deleted all the icons and recreated the shortcuts for her with Chrome. And now when she double clicks it, boom, it opens. And now she's so happy. And it's that easy, you know, but all that stuff takes me away from working. And then, of course, my sister made me this cool little thing down here on the table, which can I turn it on? Does it show?
There it is.
And it's got like it'll cycle through different colors.
Nice.
She's got this machine that she can make stuff like this now. So it's called a Cricut. But that lets her explore her creative side. So I was like, all right, well, there's one more thing that can take up room on the bench. Because, you know, we have all this bench space. Anyway, so that's what's been going on this week. And then as I get closer to leaving, I want to wrap up as much as I can. I don't want to leave unfinished business if possible. Because when I leave for vacation, I want to not have it rolling around in my head.
Because typically you tell me December can be slow. It can be busy some Decembers, but others, didn't you once tell me
it's almost always the busiest time of year for me. Almost always. I hear everybody else go,
oh, it's slow.
So slow for me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I would say last year was a little different, that by December 12th to 15th, everything dropped off.
For what, 2-3 weeks?
Good, and I'd say until...
maybe January 15th, something like that.
I think I'm trying to remember if I had some calls between the 26th and the 1st with some businesses. I can't remember. But it wasn't the way it had been in years past. Because it used to push me right up to about December 23rd. So I got a week before Christmas, everything was slow. Now, if that happens this year, then that just means there's more stuff I can do with the machines I've got here to get them done, as well as making more videos as I want to.
Because didn't we broadcast New Year's Day last year? I thought we did. We did a New Year's Day show.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm doing a show on a holiday, that usually means things are slow.
Oh.
So
yeah,
that's pretty unusual.
I remember going out and not having too many blue moons, you know, because I knew we were doing a show the next day.
Nelson says he loves the Toto shirt. That thing really pops on this camera, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
What do you think? Does camera 1 look better, or does camera 2 look better?
Last week.
That's camera 2, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1. Which do you prefer?
Dennis, who is Toto? Can Mitch explain? Well, Dennis, they're a rock band that has been together 43 years.
Everybody likes it universally.
Yeah, they live in Southern California. They were a group of studio musicians before becoming a band, and they all played on an album by Boz Scaggs called Silk Degrees, where they were studio musicians, and after helping him with that album, looked at each other and said, you know, we sound pretty good together. We ought to form a band. So in 1978 was their debut album with one of their biggest hit songs, Hold the Line, and this album won 4 Grammys, Album of the Year. Of course, this Toto 4 has Africa on it, Rosanna.
99?
No, that was Hydra. That was the second album. But
Africa, Hold the Line, Rosanna, 99 are the only 4 Toto songs I know.
Pamela is a good one.
I don't know Pamela. There's also like Georgie Porgy or something.
That's on the first album. So
they're very slow, easy listening type rock, except for Hold the Line. That's their only rock and roll song. But I think everybody knows Africa.
Yeah,
that's one of those songs. I've never met somebody who says, "Oh, turn that song off. I can't stand it."
Yeah,
I've never met that person. If they don't care for it, they at least it's not like it's hurting their ears.
And again, I play the game with a program called Touch Tunes, where restaurants and bars have a jukebox that through an app on your phone, you can pick songs. So I stand outside the bar, put on Africa, then I walk through the door wearing a Toto shirt, and guys kind of mid-sip hear the song, I'm coming through with a Toto shirt, and the guy goes, I think I'm in the Twilight Zone. That's impossible. How can that song come on when you're coming through? And I'm like, you got to have entrance music.
Well, someone was mentioning to you how you should listen to Mr. Mister's new album. And I've only heard 2 songs by Mr. 3. There's
Kyrie Lay,
Broken Wings.
Broken Wings, and Is It Love?
And I went back to listen to Mr. Mister based on this viewer making that recommendation. And he wasn't making it for me; he was making it for you.
Okay.
And I'll be damned if he's not exactly right that Mr. Mister's music is that easy listening, soft rock, adult music, except for one rock and roll song, which is It Love? They don't have another song at all like Is It Love, and Toto doesn't have another song like Hold the Line. There's just not another rock and roll song. These are like yacht rock type music.
And trivia, Mr. Mister was formed right here, Phoenix, Arizona.
I think the Tubes are from Arizona.
So yeah.
And the Gin Blossoms are from Tempe.
Tempe.
Of course, I don't care for their music, but ask me in 20 years, I'll probably like it then. I hated Van Halen.
If you're alive. If you're alive.
Oh,
Okay,
we'll all be good.
Yeah.
Some people talking about being into country music. I grew up in Detroit. Well, we both were from Michigan, so country music. I mean, maybe in southern Detroit where the farms, southern Michigan where the farms were, but Detroit was Rock City. You know, Detroit Rock City is the name of the song by Kiss.
I'll force Carrie to on Toto's second album, Hydra. There's a song called White Sister, and even on the debut album, Girl Goodbye, he thinks that they don't do rock songs. I'll have to force him to listen to a couple of their.
I'm talking top 40.
Well, not hits, but I mean they rock it out. I mean it's like whoo. So
I think your definition of rock and mine are
yeah. Well, I'm old. Leave me alone. All right.
Who said that? What? I can't see. I can't hear. All right. Do we have the jerkiness happening again on the video, or does it look okay?
I think you're having a stroke, but that's.
I think it looks smooth. Okay. It's hard to tell.
But better than last week, what I thought.
I played back last week's video and I didn't see any jerkiness in it, but somebody else said they did. So I don't know if it's the resolution settings.
Could be their internet speed.
And someone in the chat room said they thought the contrast was off on camera 1 here, maybe at the f-stop. Someone's got a highly calibrated monitor, which is not I mean, it's good to know, but most people, like of all the people watching us, only one person says they've got a highly, and I appreciate, obviously I want to get it dialed in, but I don't want to spend an hour today futzing with the camera. This is a brand new camera with a brand new lens. And what I like to do is right out of the gate, set everything to automatic except my color temperature. I'll adjust color temperature. Let the camera figure out the f-stop and the ISO. Initially out of the gate we're at like ISO 100, and I thought the picture was just too bright. So I wanted to bring the brightness down. So I had to bring the ISO up. And then I ended up saying, just put it on auto for the ISO, and then that set the f-stop higher. In any event, we'll see how this camera works today. And before I spend any time fine-tuning these cameras, I like to see how they are default out of the box with minor changes. Because if we're close out of the box, then any changes I have to do to correct it won't be as time-consuming.
Right.
Every one of these cameras is capable of producing the exact same color image, the same brightness, and the same sharpness, if I knew what I was doing to get in and make the adjustments.
Keyword there is if. All right, If you know what you're doing. Right,
and so because, one camera's Panasonic, one camera's Sony, 5 cameras are Canons, and then we have that little Sony close-up camera. Now, those little close-up cameras, they don't give you as much control, but the auto settings on it are really, really good. Yeah. So all I'm doing is setting the white balance on it and rolling.
Man, just great for
I'll do a live stream just with the miniature camera one day, and I won't tell you when I'm doing it.
Right.
And I want to see
if they can go.
If they go, wow, that's the best picture.
Yeah, that's razor sharp.
Because of that, remember what we're doing for YouTube. What we're doing for YouTube isn't the only thing I'm using these cameras for, or will be using the cameras for. I will get back into the Life 101 channel. I will get back into more cooking videos. That's next year. And what I'm trying to figure out right now is where each camera needs to go. It's as if you just hired 6 employees and you need to identify what's this employee good at. So before I assign job positions to the 6 employees, I'm going to put them where I think they should go.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to see how they perform, and I'm going to see how quickly they learn, or if they need any learning. And then I'm going to rearrange them to, now that I know them, then I can assign them to positions where they will be happier and more effective and do a good job. Well, that's my cameras.
Yeah.
So every camera here, because I've had some people say, oh, you wasted your money on that big camera. No, there's such an oversimplicity of, I don't know what's happening in the world, but people assume they know everything. Like, oh, you must not have any repairs because you haven't made any videos. No, that's not how it works. Oh, you wasted your money on the camera because it doesn't look better. Okay, but it's going to do, I have other plans, and part of it involves me learning these fancy camera settings. But I can't spend time doing that if I'm buried with computers and customers are waiting. So you have to be patient. And that's why I ask you for your feedback, because that's going to ultimately, based on how you guys are responding to the different cameras, I'm going to use that feedback to decide which one I'm going to do first and say, okay, this one's going to be the main. I have 4 different cameras that are potentially, or they're in the running to be the main camera. So this one's camera number 3, and there's still a 4th one we haven't tried yet. So once we figure out which of the 4 looks the best, then that'll be the main one that I can tweak, because it should require the least amount of tweaks.
Yeah.
Once that's dialed in, then I'll move over to the 2nd one and we'll dial that one in. Once they're dialed in, they should never need to be adjusted until I move to Michigan or the studio changes. All the lighting should be the same. All the equipment should be the same. So, but it's time consuming. And I just want you to understand that I have a life outside of YouTube. It is not my full-time job. I want it to be my full-time job. However, my customers won't stop calling me. So even though I'm not knocking on doors looking for work, the work is coming to me regardless. But I do anticipate that will continue to slow down. And in my business, it's always like it gets super busy and then it gets super slow. And every time back in the early days when it would get slow, I'd panic, like, oh no, what if no more work ever comes in? And of course, when it came in, it all came in at once.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be self-employed, that's pretty universal. Look at real estate agents, like how busy they'd been. Now, things have calmed down. It's still busy, but not like it was. So up and down, up and down. So in any event, I appreciate any feedback on the cameras and the audio, and I'll take it all under consideration. I'm not necessarily looking for a specific person to say something, but I want a consensus. So by providing, if you think it looks terrible, how many people agree with you, right? If you think it looks great, how many people agree with you? That's what I'm using as my guide, so don't be offended if you think I've dismissed what you've said. I've collected it as data to help me with the average, so I understand how to navigate forward. So anyway, Tom Backenstow said that it looks great and the audio is nice.
He was the one that got a little red, right? That we built. Thomas Backenstow was the
he got the little black and red one.
Red one, yeah. That's what I thought.
Prior to the other black and red one that I just sold, he got the same exact model.
Nice.
Who did I sell that to? I think that went to Ricky. I think Ricky got that little one. So Ricky and Tom
have the.
I think it's Tom Backenstow. Camera 2 is darker. Yeah, I intentionally made camera 2 a little darker because when we first started, that's why we ran a little late. I thought it was blown out, and I just wanted to make it closer to camera 1. But I don't even know that camera 1 is right. So we gotta start somewhere. But again, I do appreciate all the feedback and just just understand that I'm measuring the feedback average. All right, now today we have a mini PC to review. This was sent to me back in July by this company called Ace Magician. And there was some confusion over when they wanted me to do the video. Usually when a company sends me a product for free, they want me to review it yesterday. But in this case, they said their Amazon store wasn't open yet and asked me if I could postpone it. And then apparently that guy left the company. So I had no communication until another person from the company reached out and said, hey, where are you on this? And I said, oh, I was waiting for the go-ahead. okay, I'll get back to you soon. And then that person left the company.
Quiet quitting. Oh, okay.
So now I got yeah, that's the term. Right?
Yeah.
So now I got a third person reaching out to me. And they said, can we see the video before you air it? And I'm like, my videos are live. Like, they don't even know who they're sending this stuff to. So it's like, okay, here's how this works. I'm going to do the live video. Well, when are you going to do it? Can you give me a date and time? I said, I don't know. It'll go live. And they said, well, we want to offer a 20% off coupon code for your viewers. I'm like, well, go ahead. What are you waiting on me for? So I don't know what's going on over there. But they seem like nice people, if not a little bit confused. The reason I accepted the offer to review this computer, I've certainly done other mini PCs in the past, things like the Nook, or we've done the that little stick PC, the Azul, right? But this one's like a little Nook that has RGB lighting, and they're calling it a gaming PC, even though it's only using integrated graphics. So I guess if by adding lights, that makes it a gaming PC. But regardless of that, I think it's a pretty cool computer that might be good for somewhere where you have very limited desk space. Maybe a child's room, children's rooms are usually small, or maybe even a media center PC if you don't mind having the lights blinking. I think you can turn them off.
I would hope, yeah.
And let's get Camera Girl to work, and we'll get the close-up camera on, and we'll unbox this live on camera.
And friends, all the opinions are his own.
About what?
About your review of this.
Oh, well, you can have your opinion too.
Can I? Okay. All right.
That's my opinion anyway.
All right. All right.
All right. Well, let's see. We're going to grab the little. This is what we're using for close-ups now. Little Sony $1,300 point and shoot.
And man,
RX 100 Mark 7.
And it's sharp.
Whew. If this ends up being a good main camera, I'm going to have to buy two, right? Because I can't. I'll need one for the main and one.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's also much lighter weight. It's got a heck of a zoom lens on this thing, and even has a pop-up viewfinder. Like how they fit that in there, I'll never know. And it has a built-in flash right there. And it's a 1-inch image sensor, which is exactly, this right here is a full frame camera. This is my only full frame camera. And I was curious when we set this up how the set was going to appear, if it was going to be wider or taller because it's full frame. Because the position of the camera hasn't changed. It's sitting on the same tripod and the same tripod head as all the other cameras. So if you notice that the image might be taller or wider, I'm curious about that because this is a full frame camera. So this is a 1-inch sensor here. Let's go ahead and turn this on. I'll hand that over to you and let me, yeah, I'm stepping on the cord. And we'll do the unboxing with the close-up camera. And everybody always likes the close-up camera's video quality, which is frightening that that's the cheapest camera and the easiest one to set up. All right, let's turn off camera 3. Let's go to camera 2. There, we're on camera 2, so come on over. Find Me in Hawaii says, I have a Toto question. In the song Rosanna, nearing the end of the song, I swear there's a recording error when a singer comes in at the wrong time and tries to correct the error, and it's a screechy sound. You know what he's talking about?
I've probably
heard a
heard
timestamp in the song.
Yeah, probably heard that 10,000 times.
Luke Greenia says, now that's a picture. Of course, everybody likes that little camera.
Yeah,
it's crazy. All right, let's open that bad boy up. There is a link to Amazon. They sell 2 versions of this. Unfortunately, the version they sent me is not one you can buy at Amazon.
Little doodad here.
So they sent me this with a 256 gig storage, but thankfully they don't sell it with 256 gig storage at Amazon. It's 512 only.
Okay.
Now I did take this out of the box and ran all the Windows updates on it, so we won't sit here for an hour. But I put it all right back in the way it came out so we can do an authentic unboxing. But you know me, full disclosure.
Yeah.
So their instruction manual in 12 different languages. 10 different languages.
This must be the unit. Okay.
I think it's really cool looking. go ahead and just set it up right and let her move the camera around it.
Okay.
And this knob turns. You see there's settings up here for different, like quiet mode, performance mode.
We've got our power cord.
Oh yeah, it comes with a power brick. Obviously, there's no room for a power supply.
One HDMI, and that looks to be.
Go ahead and show the empty box. So that's everything you get for, what is it, about $500, a little under $500. So put that stuff back in the box. And then what we're going to do is turn it on, and we'll see how long it takes to boot. And we'll verify our storage, our RAM, and our processor, and show you the RGB and how pretty it all looks. Yeah, I mean, that picture is good.
Yeah, that's the shirt's red, that's for sure.
I'll tell you what, if I never saw that, oh, you know what? This could have gone back in the box. We don't need the HDMI. If I would have never seen Marcus Pick's YouTube channel, when he did that comparison against the big Canon 605 versus this little Sony, he's not saying the Sony is better. What he's saying is the default settings. He says, I love photography, but sometimes I just want to take the camera out and take a picture. I don't want to fuss with it for 5 minutes, adjusting everything. And he says, that's what I like about the Sony. If we take a picture or video with it straight out of the box, default settings, and do the same thing with the Canon, and he puts the images side by side. He says they're both 1-inch sensors. If anything, the Sony has more megapixels, but the Sony, these pocket cameras, when you film with them, they tend to overheat and shut off. They're only good for about 10 minutes, but since we're not recording to the memory card, also, we're only on 24 frames a second on this camera. And I did that so the camera's not working as hard, and I don't think anybody's ever noticed.
What have we got? 2 USB 3.0, a display port, an HDMI port, and I'm going to assume would be a gigabit Ethernet along with the barrel jack for the power on that side. And then on this side, what do we got? Oh, we have 2 more USB 3 point whatever on that. Oh, and a Type-C, which is very nice.
Well, let me give you here's the power cable. Okay. You can keep going.
All right. And you say this lights up?
Yeah, well, here's an Ethernet.
Okay.
Now, it has Wi-Fi in it as well, right? Or does it?
Yeah.
I think it has Wi-Fi. We're going to check all that when we plug it in.
Okay.
And then we need an HDMI to the capture card, which I have down here on the floor, all tangled amongst all the other cables. I'll let you go ahead and plug that in. And of course, we need a keyboard and mouse. Then we'll be able to power that bad boy on and see what it can do.
Put it through its paces.
So let's turn that around the other way so the audience would see it as though it was theirs in front of them.
This way?
Yeah. And we'll just put the keyboard and mouse here. And we'll just plug the keyboard and mouse dongle in anywhere. Any USB port will work. Okay, now I'm going to put us back over to camera 1. Go ahead and step that way. There we go. And then you can shut that camera off. Thank you.
How was that for close-ups? Mighty nice.
Now, compared to that picture you just saw to this picture now, I'm kind of curious how close they are. Does the Sony camera have a temperature issue? It will. If we're recording video, and especially if we're outdoors, in about maybe 10 minutes. Indoors, also, if we're doing 4K and we're doing, 120 frames a second, I can't remember how high up frames, and I think I'll do 960 frames a second.
Jeez.
But that's going to generate a lot of heat. The large camcorders have fans, and you can run camcorders 24/7. They never have to shut off. So for professional productions, you really want, you can't shut your production down because the camera overheats. DSLR cameras also overheat. That's what they shot with when I worked over at Newegg, and they overheated all the time. And why they weren't using camcorders, I'll never know. But my understanding is they've since upgraded all that equipment. But we used to fill up the memory cards and the camera would stop recording. We'd have the forklift backing up in the warehouse, then we'd have to stop recording because of the noise. We'd have the camera shut down because it overheated, and then they had these old camera batteries that just weren't holding a very good charge, and they had four SLRs.
Okay.
And so randomly, they'd just start shutting down, and you had to figure out why, right in the middle of trying to do a video. And, you know, hey, the forklift didn't make any sound, I didn't screw up my lines, it's a good take. That camera over there shut down. So they'll have 4 cameras on me at any given time. And sometimes it was fine. They didn't need the one that shut down. But other times we have to do it again. Then you go to do it again, and then there's the forklift, or there's the other camera now. So with a camcorder, you never have the overheating problem. But again, we're not recording. We're running the camera video output right into the back of a capture card through OBS. The new version of OBS just came out, 2801. So we're using that today. It came out, I think, 2 or 3 days ago was the final. I was using the release candidate before. That day we couldn't get audio to work. That was my bad. So all I'm trying to do at this point is settle in on, again, what's going to be the main camera. If that little camera is superior and everybody prefers it, it's not like I have to have a big main camera. I do have reasons to have those big cameras, like especially if I start doing the cooking videos again, and the Life 101 videos is just me talking as like a close-up, and this camera with a different lens will just blur the heck out of the background, so it forces your focus on me. So for that kind of vlogging or blogging, I guess it's vlogging, it's really ideal for that. So this camera is the Sony A7C, in case you were interested. And I bought a Tamron 28-200. I think it's 28. That's a good full range lens. So I'll take that with me to Michigan. And then I've got an f1.2 lens, which will blur the background. So I can swap the lens out for the f1.2 when I want to do portraiture or even just scenic shots. So I think those 2 lenses on this main camera. I'm just kind of curious how this holds up, since that little camera that was just doing the close-ups is also a Sony, and they share a similar video processing technology. In theory, those images should be similar, but I always wanted a full frame camera. Okay. So now I have one. The A7C is a full frame. All right, so now you know all the information you didn't ask for about the cameras. Now, let's go ahead and turn on, let's see, HDMI input.
I don't even know how, is it a button now?
Well, that'll be a thing. So
I see some things here, but silent, auto, and performance. That obviously.
Well, your performance button definitely needs to be pressed.
Okay. Boop. All right.
Well, we need to look at the front of it here. You see the big on-off right there?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just go ahead and push that in.
Should light up.
And yeah, and then you'll see it lights up. We'll get close-ups of that in a little bit. It's also lit up on the top. I'll show you all that here in a minute. Let's see how long it takes to boot. And then let's take a look at what hardware is installed. And once we've done all that, we'll go back to the close-up and kind of go around it with it's all lit up and pretty. And ooh, fancy. Windows 11.
Windows 11.
I got to turn the volume down on this monitor. Okay, so let's go full screen for you and I. You guys at home can see it better than we can. Let's see, HDMI, full screen, projector. There it is. I wish they had a shortcut for that. Okay, so, this is Windows 11. So I got to go over here. We'll go over to settings. And we'll go to system. Is it system? Just type in the word system, S-Y-S-T-E-M.
You missed the S. Mm-hmm.
Did I?
Yes.
S. No, that's not what I want. Right click, no. still learning Windows 11. You know, I still don't understand the point of Windows 11. It's just Windows 10 where they moved everything around and gave it a different color and shape of icons. And a lot of the right-click stuff has been buried, which really bothers me. And there's supposed to be a big update for Windows 11, but it's still not going to fix the features yet. And there's still talk of a Windows 12 potentially coming out. So if there is going to be a Windows 12, I can tell you right now, I'm not even going to bother with Windows 11 as far as deploying it to any customers.
We got 3 years.
But it's not a big deal if somebody's got it. There's no reason to not have it, but I don't see any reason to upgrade to it. So in other words, if you're buying a new computer, you're going to get Windows 11. And that's okay. But if you're on Windows 10 now, unless you can tell me something you can do in Windows 11 that you cannot do in Windows 10, I would suggest you wait. Windows 10 is good until October of 2025. So when we get into 2024, then we'll definitely know if there's a Windows 12 by then. If it's still Windows 11.
Or lucky 13.
Or like I said, if you get a new computer that comes with it. Or you're somebody who likes to tinker. But if you like to tinker, please don't reach out with your questions and problems. Because you did that to yourself because that's what you wanted to do. I didn't want to do it. Just so we're clear. But of course, you can always ask your questions in the chat room during our live sessions at any time. We have a lot of very knowledgeable folks here in our community, very kind and knowledgeable, who will know a lot more about Windows 11 than I do at this stage. Maybe in the spring, I'll start to play Windows 11 on a professional level, but for right now, I'll deal with it when it rolls in, like for example here. But this may not be the future. This may be like a Windows Vista. It might be something like I went from Windows 7 to Windows 10. I skipped over 7 and 8 personally. Okay, so I wanted to look at the system specs. So let's just type in, let's do MS Info 32.
There you go.
And let's see what we have in here.
Windows 11 Pro.
Hardware resources. Components.
16 gig of memory.
Let me do a right click, taskbar settings.
Move that over to the left.
Oh, that was already in the...
Oh.
See, that's why I say they moved some stuff around. I thought it was under system, and I thought there's Windows Update up there, and of course down here as well. What about? That's what I wanted. All right, so we've got an AMD Ryzen 5 5600U CPU with built-in Radeon graphics, built-in graphics into the CPU. We've got 16 gigabytes of RAM. 15.4 is usable because the video card is taking the 0.6. Okay. We obviously cannot add a video card to this system. We've got product IDs and device IDs. There's nothing we need to cover up. There's nothing private. This is not a product key, folks. So some people are like, oh, you showed your product key. No. We got Windows 10 Pro version 21H2. It should be the latest.
Windows 11 Pro.
Oh, sorry.
You said 10.
Sorry, you're right. I did. Because I saw 21H2. That's why. So 22H2 will come out for Windows 11 here in the not too distant future. There's probably some updates as well that we're missing.
What was our storage? 256?
I'm going to check that right now. You're reading my mind.
Okay.
We'll go over to this PC.
It's very easy to do. All right.
We'll go to properties. Yeah, so they don't sell this with a 256K or 256 gig drive on Amazon. I was confused. Like, why are you sending me a unit you don't sell? Wouldn't you want to send me the best unit, not the cheapest one?
For review, yeah.
Anyway, they did what they did. So with just Windows on it, it's going to take about 35 gigs, and then you're left with 200 gigs.
Okay.
Now, you can add, I think there's a memory card. Is there a memory card slot in here? We'd have to open this up. I don't know if any of this is upgradable. This all might just be...
What you see is what you get.
It might be. Yeah. I don't see a memory card slot. That's unusual. They usually have a like a micro SD card or something. This one does not appear to have that. I'm not even sure how this will open, quite frankly. I don't see screws. I don't know how this opens. These kind of machines are really not designed to be that customizable. Like if we took the original Intel NUC, for example, you can put RAM and storage in it. That's it. Some of the NUCs, you can put a 2.5-inch drive and 2 NVMe drives. Others will only take one M.2 drive. It depends on the size of the NUC. It's got to be taller to fit a 2.5-inch drive. And the 2.5-inch drives are all SATA and they're slower. So why would you want to do that? So this machine, again, great, I think, for a child's room. I think it's good for an area where desktop space is very limited. This might be good to run some digital signage for a business, you know. Unlike the NUC, this does not have a way to mount behind a monitor, however. And they are calling this a gaming PC, but I don't see, what do you guys think? What kind of games do you think you could play on that? Some older ones for sure, I would guess, but
Pong?
I would not call it a gaming. I was thinking more like Minesweeper or Solitaire, or maybe some older first-person shooters like this might play WoW from way back in the day. Maybe. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, but under $500, and it's plug and play. You're going to get it. You're going to plug it in, and your first thing you're going to do is go to Windows Update and get all your Windows updates. As far as I know, there are no firmware updates. Now we have a dial up on top here. Like, can we go back to the close-up camera? And I'm going to show you the RGB is really cool on it.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how you control the RGB, but let's go to camera number 2. You know what? I'm going to have to override. There we go. All right, so there's our RGB. Also on the top and on the front. Now, if you notice this round wheel, it's got a little arrow on it. And if we move it to here, it's silent.
Okay.
I guess it shows headphones for some reason. The middle is auto. And then what'll be your right, if you're watching at home, performance, and the light, power light goes red when you're in performance mode.
Okay.
So auto performance, it's blue, and silent, did it change the, oh, so auto is green, silent is blue, and performance is red.
Okay.
Now, as to how to control the RGB lights as far as changing their pattern or turning them off, I don't know. I would imagine there's a way to do it, but it doesn't seem to be. So if you push in on this whole button, that's your power button, this whole thing. Yeah. So if we tap that, it's going to shut down. But I've never seen that before on a portable computer.
Right.
This idea that you can make it a quiet, you know, won't run at higher performance if it's in quiet mode. Because higher performance generates more heat, requires the fans to spin faster. And then with regards to controlling the RGB, there's no buttons. Basically, just the ports that Mitch described up front, your 2 USBs, Type-C is another USB, so there's 3. You've got an audio jack here, which doesn't tell me if it's a headset or if it's headphones. I'm going to assume it's for a headset since it's gaming, right? Yeah. So it would be a headphone and microphone all in one jack. And then in the back, we're using many of the ports just to get this on. Power, network, HDMI, display port, and then 2 more USB 3s, which we're using, one for the wireless keyboard and mouse. So this is not a power-hungry user's computer. This is something that's It's pretty robust as far as,
not hot. No.
you know, you could probably knock it around since there's really no moving parts in it.
Hasn't been running long, and it's not.
Well, we've only now just put it in performance mode, and we haven't actually asked it to do anything difficult.
Ah, I hear a fan chat.
Oh, I thought you were listening for the ocean.
No.
Let me look at the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat.
But I do hear a fan.
Oh, I'm hearing it now. Let me move my microphone to it. I don't know if they can hear that. I might have the filter set too high. The noise gate.
It's getting louder by the second.
It is getting loud, isn't it? Andy's telling me to go to sysinfo. Captain Blinsky figured out his resolution was in 360 when he went to 720. His video got yeah. You got to make sure your playback. There's a little gear on the video. See what resolution you're in and get the highest resolution that your bandwidth will support. Preferably 1080. Ron Barnish says that camera, that handheld looks better. Mark thinks the white balance is slightly off. Off which? We got 3 cameras. They're all different white balanced. Let's see. The big round is the power button. Yeah. BH Ringer said system and about. Yeah, we got there though, didn't we? I figured it out. A little rusty. Chris said if he got a new computer that had Windows 11, I'd put Windows 10 on it. I don't see any reason to do it. Again, I don't see any problem with Windows 11, but I also don't see any benefit to having it. So if you've got Windows 11, I'm not telling you it's bad or that you should go back to Windows 10. What I'm saying is Windows 11 just seems like Windows 10 with a facelift. Now, Microsoft is supposed to add a bunch of features and bells and whistles to it to differentiate it, but they have yet to do that. And it's going to happen during an update. So what Microsoft is doing is they're being very, very cautious, and they're releasing things just a little bit, not in full force. Like, there's a feature we're adding, but it's just like a light version. We want to see the public's reaction, and we're going to figure out. So Microsoft hasn't yet decided what they want Windows 11 to do differently than Windows 10, other than the TPM and CPU requirements. That's the only thing they've really settled on, and even that is subject to change. You got the loss to the top of your head, Mitch.
Well, I'll tell you, we're not even doing anything, and in performance mode, that fan is really spinning. Can I try back on auto and see if it shuts off?
Ryan wants to know if I think Windows 11 may not be successful. That's really in Microsoft's court, right? If Microsoft wants to, they're going to keep upgrading it.
Yeah.
Did you change it out of performance mode?
Yeah, to auto.
All right.
It's slowing down, but the fan's still going. But it's not.
Put it on silent. See how quickly it takes it to react. There it goes. Takes about 10 seconds to react. Sarge Tech said he went from XP to Windows 7 to Windows 10. That's pretty much what I did too.
Yeah, Windows 8 with the tiles. I loaded it up on a machine, looked at it, and went,
Windows 11 might be okay after it matures after a while. Oh, well, and then, we talk about maturity. Let's talk about maturity. All right, come stand over here. Let's get us head on here. Are you zoomed all the way out? Wow, that camera's... Can you step back? Just be careful, don't trip over anything. I want you to step as far back as you can. Because that camera, and then just turn the camera a little bit. Yeah, there you go. And then just raise it a little because Mitch has a top of his head.
I thought it was shrinking in old age. Maybe I'm getting taller.
I hope you are. Either you need to shrink or I need to get taller. And then just turn the camera just away from the... There we go. Well, you didn't have to move, but now you've chopped off Mitch's head again. So that's not about raising the camera so much as tilting. We're teaching the camera person. So if you go like this, look at me. No, you're raising and lowering. See this?
Oh, pivot? Yeah.
Pivot? Thank you, that's the word.
Pivot.
And then you can do this instead of moving. It's less work.
Your wrist is an automatic gimbal.
She's going to demand a raise. You're like, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Shut up. All I get's respect around here. All right, so anyway, it's great. Thank you.
Were we going to
What was I talking about?
Were we going to do some bench tests on that just to see, or?
I mean, yeah, we can run, let's run Crystal Dismark. You know it's not, it's going to be some pretty cheap storage in there. And I don't know if it's upgradable or not. I don't even know how to open this. I could probably look for a YouTube video where somebody opens it and then see what's inside of it, just to see if anything's upgradable. But I can tell you, the way this is built, it's really for somebody who just wants a basic machine. They don't want to take up a lot of space, and they want to be able to do email, they want to be able to do Word documents, spreadsheets, maybe some very light gaming, maybe even a home theater PC where you don't want this unsightly computer in your main viewing room. But with that, I would think you'd have to be able to turn the RGB off. I think there should be a way to do that. But let me go over to, we'll go back over to the HDMI input, which is blank, probably because it went to sleep. There it is. All right, camera 2, you're clear. Thank you. So what I'm going to do here is for Mitch and I have to go to a full screen because we can't see it. Okay, there's our flash drive. Let's grab, under my PC testing software, we'll grab CPU-Z, and we'll grab Crystal Disk Mark Portable. Well, you know what? Let's grab Crystal Disk Info and see who makes it too. Now, every utility you see here, people are like, could you put a list of all your utilities? There's pretty much like 5 utilities I use. And if you use this thing called Google and type in the name of the utility,
it pops up.
That's where I got it.
Okay.
Just so you know, it's not a secret stash or anything. Okay. And I cannot legally distribute software I didn't make, even if it's freeware. I cannot distribute that. You have to get it yourself. That is a serious, real thing. So what do we want to do first? Crystal, what is this? Is this Crystal Disk Info? This is Crystal Disk Mark. What's this one? Here's Disk Info. All right, I'm kind of curious what the make and model of this drive is. FPE220, I don't know what that is. Again, if we Google this right here, that'll probably tell us who the manufacturer is. I have no idea. It's been powered on 11 times for a total of 5 hours. So that's when I was doing updates on it. But it doesn't really show us the manufacturer's name, so I'm not going to expect much. Let's run Crystal Disk Mark. Once again, I always can't run on my PC. That's why. So we want to test the C drive, and let's go ahead and run all the tests and see what it's going to do.
In silent mode, or should I switch it back to auto?
Let's leave it in silent because this is just data transfer.
Okay.
If we were to run Prime 95, I can almost guarantee it's going to overheat. Even in performance mode or silent mode, these machines are not meant to be pushed that hard for that long.
Right.
They can take it a little bit, right? You're doing something that requires some processing, like unzipping a file or compressing a file for a couple minutes, that's fine. But to run like Prime 95 for 20 minutes on it, it's not what it's built for, and it's not fair to test it for something it wasn't made to do. So, well, it might be interesting to have it as a gauge. All I can tell you is as long as you use the computer the way it's intended, which is basic home use, you can use it for Zoom, you can use it for schoolwork, remoting into school, you can use it for
surfing the web,
writing your book report, researching your book report. You can be an adult who just wants to pay bills, check email, and read the news. It's going to do all that great. Where it's going to fall short is if you're somebody who likes to eke out the most performance and be able to have the latest and greatest and fastest and largest storage drive and be able to, you know, modify it. This is really not meant to be modified. It's pre-modded for you. It's already done. All you need to do is enjoy it. So for the right person, this could be a very cool computer and a neat conversation piece, because I've never seen this design before. And somebody comes over to your house, say you've got this in the living room, maybe it's your home theater PC. What I would do is run VLC on it, or you could run Plex, or what's the other, Kodi?
Kodi.
XBMC. You could stream, you can do Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus. You could have all your music and such, let's say on a NAS, or even on an external drive plugged in the back of your router, if your router supports that, and have all of your library on a NAS or an external drive, and that you're just streaming it over the network from your local library through this, so that you don't have all this unsightly equipment in your TV or viewing room. Throw Spotify on it and have it play music throughout the house. Again, for anybody to criticize us for not being able to play Cyberpunk 2077,
the newest, latest games,
that's not fair. That's just not what it was designed to do. That's like complaining that your Chevy Spark sucks at towing. Yeah, but it's great at being towed, you know, so depending on what your needs are. Now, our speeds on this drive are actually a little better than I was expecting them to be. When you're on Gen 3 NVMe, you're looking at about a maximum of 3600 on the most highest performance NVMe drive. So at 2483, we're more along the budget line of like the Intel 660p. It runs right about that on both the reads and the writes. That's respectable. And especially for a machine that isn't going to be doing that much work, and it doesn't have much storage. So whether or not the storage is upgradable, you could always just plug a USB drive onto it.
Or an external hard drive.
You could use like a Western Digital MyBook, or you can get one of those NVMe enclosures that go to USB. You can get a hard drive toaster dock thing that plugs into USB. You could potentially open this up and swap that NVMe drive out, but I don't know yet. So we'll wait for this test to finish, and then we'll take a quick look online and see if somebody else has opened it. And I will open it if I can see how they're doing it. But if they have to like get a
pry bar,
well, if there's something they have to sort of mar or break, I don't want to damage this in any way. So if I can open it cleanly, I will today. But first, I want to see these test results. So there's our final numbers for the most part. It's almost done, but so about 2,500 on the reads. It's about half on the writes. That's normal on a budget solid state drive. If I had a complaint, the drive is way too small. You're just not going to do much with 250 gigs, 256. Yeah. I will say most home consumers aren't using more than 100 gigs anyway. But I'm sure that our average viewer is not an average home user, because they obviously have a deeper interest than most home users have.
Did you say you purchased a 4 terabyte NVMe? Did I hear that like last week that you bought one of those?
Yeah.
A 4 terabyte NVMe.
That's what I upgraded both my laptops to 4 and my did that years ago.
Okay. They're pretty pricey, aren't they?
You and I put an 8 terabyte NVMe in Big Beast. It was $1,200.
Oh, 8 terabytes.
8 terabytes
on a thing the size of a stick of gum.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It's got chips on both sides of it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the main camera so people can see us.
Chocolate, I hope. Okay. No, not that kind of chips. All right.
Yeah, let me go full screen here.
Okay.
And I just got 2 super fast Gen 4 drives.
Gen 4?
Yeah, and Gen 5 will be out soon. So each time the speed doubles, right? That's the way technology works. Like when SATA came out, SATA 1 was 150 megabits per second. SATA 2 was 300. SATA 3 is 600, and that's where they topped it off. Can't go any faster. It's a limitation of the technology. So then they introduced NVMe, which was initially was just called, in the original NOC I did in 2013, I put a little Mushkin, I think it was a SATA drive, but it's about that big. And it's still working today, by the way. And that was like what they called an M drive.
Okay.
Now, the follow-up to that was M.2, or also called NGFF, Next Generation Form Factor. So NGFF and M.2 are saying the exact same thing, and neither one of them is clear. I don't know how they thought. NGFF is too confusing, so let's just call it M.2. So now you got two names for the same thing, and neither name is very descriptive. So when they went to PCIe Generation 3 with 4 lanes, so they had 2 lanes and 4 lanes. The ones that only had 2 lanes did half the speed because they had half the amount of traffic. So everything now you'll see X4, times 4, or 4 lanes of data path. So Gen 3 by 4 can run up to 3,600 megabytes per second on a sequential read. That's the best you can expect unless you've got some kind of cache running. PCIe Gen 4 instead of Gen 3, what's 3,600 times 2? 7,200. So you can expect up to 7,200 out of maximum out of Gen 4. So when I tell you Gen 5 is going to double that again, what's 7,200 times 2? 14.4. So you're going to get it 14, 15, somewhere between. Usually initially they don't top it out. They'll probably start around 12. And then when there's Gen 6, what's that going to be?
Turbo speed.
Yeah. 28.4. Yeah. That's easy to predict this stuff. The two hottest, what they call face-meltingly fast, that's what PC World, are the Western Digital Black SN850X and the Seagate FireCuda 530. Now I'm going to bring these up to the camera so you guys can see them closer. Now, Western Digital recently had this on sale, my thanks to a viewer for pointing it out, for $550.
4 terabytes.
And I was on Amazon and it was like after tax, it was like $783. Whew. And I guess I thought I was ordering 8 terabyte. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm going to be doing a 12900 build after I get back from vacation. I'm slowly collecting the parts and I want the fastest possible drive. Well, this is not the fastest possible, but it's really, really good for the price, but not at $700. Anyway, so a viewer reached out and said, hey, you can buy this directly from Western Digital. It's $150 off. Huh. I think the suggested retail was $699 and they had it for $149 or I'm sorry, not $149, $549. Okay. So I wanted to return this to Amazon where I bought it, but it didn't come from Amazon. It came from a third-party seller who had all of these restrictions. If you've taken it out of the box, there's a restocking fee, that you got to pack it exactly the way we packed it, blah, 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 blah. And why are you returning it? I said, because it's $200 cheaper buying direct from the manufacturer than what you sold it to me for. And they emailed back, sorry for the inconvenience. She said, as long as you haven't opened it, if it's in factory packaging, you put it back and send it back to us the way we sent it. Once we receive it, we'll give you a full refund, and we apologize for the trouble. $200. So anyway, I went ahead and ordered off of Western Digital Direct and bought it. So that's 4 terabytes. But this is supposedly the fastest 4 terabyte. Now, this is the Seagate FireCuda 530 4 terabyte drive. Now, if you look at the price on these, about $800. But I went on eBay and there's a seller selling them for again, around $550. And the seller had good feedback. And it was one of those where, you had to sign for it. So I'm waiting around all day for UPS to show up. Now, as you can see, these are both factory sealed. I'm a little concerned that, when you're buying from eBay, you just don't have that peace of mind you do with Amazon. At least I don't. But this seller has a ton of feedback and had more than 10 of these available, and I wasn't the first one to buy one, and everybody else's feedback was good. So I'm assuming wherever they got it, they're not marking it up as expensive because they had a case of these. Anyway, I'm probably going to use this because this is the faster of these 2 drives, but this one's the cheaper one. So right now, September the 9th, 2022, these are 2 of the fastest 4 terabyte NVMe drives on the market. But Gen 5 is going to be out in just a couple months, and it will double the speed. I also didn't want to buy a version with the heatsink, which not only adds more cost, but the motherboards I use already have heat sinks that are, they fit with the design of the board aesthetically, so I don't want to change them out. But yeah, 4 terabytes, Mitch.
That's a lot of storage.
Maybe I'll use them both on the 12 channel. Then I can compare them side by side. I'll just have it. The motherboard, I think, has 3 M.2 slots. And so I'll run them both and we'll do a side by side comparison on them. And hopefully the price will come down by the time I get the video done, which will be after I get back from my trip. Can you upgrade it? According to the specs on Amazon, there's a magnetic cover that you can take off. Is there? Well, first, let me take the flash drive out of it. Oh.
Oh.
Well, that was easy.
Thank you.
Close-up camera.
Oh.
Oh, this is very expandable. Who knew? Is that a button? Well, that was super easy, barely an inconvenience.
2 magnets?
Yeah, okay, so let's go to the close-up camera so you guys can see that. Thank you in the chat room, whoever said that. It's hard for me to see the screen and see the chat at the same time here. Let's go back over to, let's see, we'll turn off HDMI input. That's camera 2 or 3?
2, I thought.
Is it 2? Yes, it's 2. Come on in. So first, let's take a look at the cover. There's 2 magnets.
That
There's
was
2 round
it.
circles.
And yeah, so
And then-
very easy to take off.
And then let me grab something pointy so I can point out some stuff. We've got a regular old NVMe drive. That's easy to swap out. That's going to be Gen 3. We could put a Gen 4 in it, but it would be a waste of money because it'll run at Gen 3 speed. We have a second M.2.
Okay.
So we can add 2 NVMe drives. And you can see the RAM, if you zoom in so we can read it. Oh, it's the famous Kim-to-go RAM.
Kim to go.
Okay. I'll take 2. I need 2
Kim to goes to go. Yeah.
To-goes to go.
Hold the salt. Oh, okay.
It says it's PC4 21300. And each stick is 8 gigs, and there's 2 sticks. They're stacked.
Okay.
You see how one is underneath the other one?
Yep.
So if you're going to upgrade this, I would recommend replace it with a pair of, let's say, 16s or a pair of 32s. I don't know why you'd put a pair of 32s in a machine that's intrinsically this limited with regards to its processing power, but you could.
Okay.
And with regards to the NVMe drive, there is no compatibility you have to worry about. If it's an NVMe drive, it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
You also have, this is a nice touch, the QR code. Can you get in on that QR code in case people want to scan that at home watching? Give that a second to focus. It's on autofocus, so it takes a second. You know, they've got a customer support number, and they got the QR code, an email address, and then there's their website right down there. There, it focused good. Well, let me tell you something. My opinion of this just went up a few notches, seeing how... You want it? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
But you have the mini helicopter.
That's
You're going to give me the mini helicopter back? You're going to give me back the mini helicopter. Remember I built the helicopter case?
Yeah.
And then there was a little baby helicopter.
I like the baby one. Yeah.
And
the big
so
one.
I've had the baby helicopter here for months. I wanted to do a final review on it, and I said, well, this is never going to get done. Just take it home. She literally took it home 3 days ago, and now she says, well, she's having a problem. It's too big.
Okay.
She wants it in her media room, and she was using a Nook, but the Nook is acting up.
Okay.
So I said, well, that'll give me something to fix on camera. Bring me back the Nook. So she brought back the Nook, and I'll make a repair video on that at some point. She gets the mini helicopter and she's like, well, it's bigger than I thought. Now she sees this and she's like, no, I want this.
So this will accept both an NVMe or a SATA drive, correct?
Probably not. That's a fair question.
Okay, I'm just,
I'm going to guess that that's going to be NVMe only, but we'd have to go to the website and look, or if anybody in the chat could look it up for us. But yeah, it's under $500 for this. And the only question I would have now is if there's a way to turn that RGB off or change it.
RGB software.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You think it's on software? I just wish it had a button.
Yeah.
Obviously, our CPU is soldered onto the board, so you're not going to be able to change the CPU out of it, just like a NUC. How much storage would you want in here?
4 terabytes.
No.
Yes.
You want 4 terabytes. You want an 8.
Yes.
You want, wait, how much is a 4 terabyte? You want a $600 storage drive and a $400 computer?
Yes.
What's wrong with you? What about the RAM?
64 at a minimum.
I mean, 32 would be reasonable. Here's what I would recommend. I'd recommend a Samsung 970 EVO 2 terabyte. That's $200. And I'd recommend 2 16s for a total of 32. Because if all you're using this for is media playback like Plex.
4 terabytes and 64 gigs.
See what I'm doing with it?
Yeah, so.
Okay, so 64 gigs and 4 terabytes can buy you 2 of these.
I just want one. But I want it
But why would you?
beefed up.
Yeah, but it's still a Ryzen 5.
I don't care.
It's not going to make
It's
the Ryzen.
perfect for media. In my area,
64
I need
gigs.
small.
64 gigs.
Yes.
What do you need 64 gigs for?
Sometimes I work from home.
You don't work on an 85-inch television.
Sometimes I do.
No.
Yes.
No.
And game.
You have a gaming computer. That's what the helicopter's for.
I use that for gaming too.
Is there anything you don't use for gaming? I think
No.
you're gaming me right now.
Let's compromise, people. All right.
What the heck, man?
This is cool. I like this a lot.
But you should be able to put a budget like Intel 660p in here for $70.
Who
Those
needs
are
a
on
budget?
sale. They're $70 for 1 terabyte Intel 6 at Amazon. And then I'd say 2 16s for a total of 32. Then you're out the door for like $150 plus the unit. And then you always have room to expand to another one.
Why, when I can do it now?
I said the boss has spoken.
Did anybody in chat decide whether a
Jim says, if you pass on knowledge, prepare for it to be used against you.
Did anyone in chat decide whether this is, you can fit a SATA drive, or is this strictly because of that notch, NVMe only?
I mean, it's easy to test.
You think the notch is different, or the notch appears to be the same, but I mean...
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be NVMe only. Let me hit the power, tap the power button on it, and it should cycle off. And I have a SATA M.2 drive over here. You will see the SATA drives, generally they have 2 notches.
Okay.
Ignore the dust on it. But this is a Western Digital Blue 2 terabyte. And you see how it's got the 2 notches?
Gotcha, yeah.
But this isn't turning off for some reason. Let me go back over to the HDMI input and see what it's doing. If I tap the power button, there it goes. Now it should shut off. It says no signal, but it's not. Is it turning off? I mean, did I just go to sleep? All it says is no signal, but the lights are still on. Let me tap it again. And it's you see the lights are breathing. People at home can't see what's going on. So what's happened is we've got no video output, but the power light is still on. So what I can do is hold the power button in, and you can do this with every computer and every laptop. It takes about 10 seconds. That cuts the power. Then I'm going to unplug power from here just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
And then we can take the little black JIS driver here, and we can take this out. And they're using a regular screw, not one of those little M.2 screws. That's like it's a little thinner than the traditional screw you would use on, say, to mount an optical drive. But at least it's more common. Now, will this go in? It does go in. Ooh, that's interesting. So if we put that in,
learn something new every day. Now, whether it'll show up
you'll
as a
see
drive.
this drive says it's SATA. You see right up at the fine print on the very top of the drive. Can you zoom in more? Keep going, keep going. Oh, back it out just a little bit. Right there. So that, I've had this drive a long time. I've used it for testing purposes, but that did fit. Okay. So let's see if smoke comes out.
Okay.
The worst that'll happen is it won't recognize it,
if
right?
It's a drive.
But if it plugs in and nothing's preventing it from plugging in, okay, now let's turn it back on. And let's go back to the HDMI input. And camera 2, you're off, so you're good. Take a break. 64 gigs, 4 terabytes. Are you kidding me?
It's like a Ferrari engine and a Beetle.
What am I going to do? Tell her no?
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's not happening. And what am I going to... So you're going to give me the mini helicopter back?
No, I'll keep it.
No, you're going to keep... Wait a minute.
I was going to call dibs. All right. No dibs.
You don't have room for all those
computers.
You know what? Whatever. All right. Let's go to disk management. Computer management. Where is it? Device manager, disk management right there. Yeah, it sees it.
Okay.
Right click. New simple volume. Next, 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 next.
You sure there's nothing on it? You'd hate to delete?
No, there's nothing.
Okay.
It's I only use it for testing.
Okay.
Like external enclosures is what I've been using it on.
Okay.
Because if you're going to use a USB external enclosure, why have something like a Fire CUDA or this 850, you know, this SN850X when your limitations the USB speed, right? But yeah, there it is, that easily. So now the next question is, since we know that that works, let's shut this back down and let's try an NVMe drive just to make sure it works both ways.
Okay.
So while that shuts down, we'll go back over to camera number 1.
So you want me to take that one out while you're getting one?
Ah, yeah, that's a good idea. Get to work.
Glad I thought of it. All right.
All right, now I need to find an open NVMe drive back here.
Have you got one?
What is this? This is a 500 gig Samsung. Oh, I got a couple of brand new Sabrents. I got a couple 970 Evo Pluses. But they're not open. I hate to open one. Just to test. 4 terabytes. What is this? I got an SK Hynix. Didn't even know I bought this. That's 2 terabytes. I got a 500 gig Sabrent, and I've got a 1 terabyte Sabrent. I don't have any 4 terabyte drives, sorry.
Never mind.
Hey, wait, you know what? I think I have some RAM left over, though. Remember when I did my laptop upgrade?
Oh, right, yeah.
I wonder if this will work.
How many gig, are they 2 sticks of 16? Or?
Wait a minute. This is a 2 gig and that's a 4 gig. What the heck? That came out of somebody else's. This is not the...
Never mind.
No, this is not... Hold on. Why am I holding on to 6 gigs? That's a weird thing to... Oh. You know what, Mitch?
What?
I just never go to this part of the shelving unit, so I had a bunch of it. Ooh. So... I wrote on it with a marker. Those are 8 each.
8 each.
Which is what that's got now. This looks like it's never been opened. And that one
is 8 each.
So this was from my old Dell XPS that came with 2 sticks of 8. And these are 2 sticks of 8. And I'll bet you this is a 32. I think these are 2 sticks of 16. How do you feel about 2 sticks of 16?
Compromise.
I'm getting a frog face. It's brand new. It's never been opened.
To 30?
32 for a Ryzen 5.
32 is new.
It's very reasonable.
But you're not sure it'll go in there.
If only I had the close-up camera to show people.
But you're not sure it'll go in there.
Yeah. Well, you got time.
Yeah.
You're still on the clock.
All right.
Okay, we're going to show everybody what we're dealing with here with camera 2. Oh, wrong mouse. Camera 2. There we go. You're on. Okay, so first of all, I shouldn't have brought these out because, these aren't going to... That's not Gen 4.
So Kerry thinks this is 2/16.
That's brand new.
He thinks. I know. Brand new in a box. Let's see what the back says. Maybe this.
I was going to upgrade my Dell XPS because
Oh, it does say, yeah.
It said the max was 32,
Yeah,
but I said, I bet you I could do 64.
Yeah, it's 32.
And the reason they didn't say you could do 64 was that a 64 gig module hadn't been invented yet for consumers. So the instructions when they were written.
So you want to open that up?
Mm-hmm.
With your nice serrated blade.
Oh, I love the serrated razor blades. That's like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I should probably put my glasses on though.
I'd never seen that, and he showed it to me last week. I kind of like it. I don't want to order 50 of them, but on my knife, utility knives, versus always smooth.
Check this out.
Ooh.
You get 100 of them on Amazon.
Okay.
And when you lift up on this, it takes the blade out.
Okay.
So you're welcome to have as many as you want, because it'll take me a long time to get through 100 of these. It's like $20 for 100 of them on Amazon. This is made by...
Is this on your Amazon wish list?
It is, yeah. If you look in my video notes,
or video
there's
notes,
an Amazon store showing all the tools and equipment that I use. And the blades and the Milwaukee, they make two versions of this Milwaukee cutter. One has this little slot, that's like a wire stripper, and one doesn't. It's a little shorter. I like to have the extra length, because that just barely fits in my hands. So when it's a little shorter, it makes me a little nervous. And that should make you
cut towards you. All right.
And lift with your back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I bought this to do my Dell XPS upgrade.
Okay.
Then decided, well, if I'm going to do this, let's do 64. And I could have returned the 32, but I thought I'll use it in something, right?
Okay.
Now, without reading any directions, without doing any research, I'm going to see if this works.
Okay. These are easy because you just press down, and the flappy ought to.
Well, you don't press down.
You see how technical I'm getting? No, you the flappy. Then they come up or something like that. What do you press? Nothing.
Okay.
Impress
First of all,
me.
I want to put this screw back for a second.
Okay.
Just so we don't lose it. We'll just put that there for now, and I want to get the driver out of my way. The laptop memory is traditionally stacked like this, and is used in laptops primarily, but also in like Intel NUCs and things like smaller form factors. This is called SO DIMMs versus a DIMM. You got to be careful when you order memory. I see people adding laptop memory to their builds, and they don't realize till they get it, hey, this is too tiny. So be careful when you're ordering. Sometimes, like with Dells and HPs and other pre-builts, you have to use a certain speed or it won't work.
Okay.
I'm hoping this isn't that way. So you see these two metal tabs?
Yep.
If we pull both metal tabs away, it springs up.
Oh, that's what I was talking
Then
about.
we pull straight back,
Okay.
and then you can see the other one below it. And I always recommend you install your memory in pairs with the same exact memory. You'll see they're matching, same model number, same size, same speed. Now that's not to say that mixing it won't work, but it's kind of iffy.
Okay.
Now look at how many more chips are on here. Look, count the chips. There's 4 on each side. This has 8 on each side. Does that make sense? That's half the memory? It's got half the number of chips. To install these, you notice that notch is a little off center.
Yep.
So it's got to go in with the label facing down. Well, there's a label on each side, so that it aligns with the notch. You obviously have to put this bottom one in first, or you'll never be able to get to it.
Right.
You're going to kind of approximate that angle it was on when it came out. And again, this is the same with laptops.
Don't force it. No.
When you align it, you're going to get those gold fingers into the slot. And then and only then, when you push it forward, and the gold finger should disappear. And then you just push evenly down, and you'll hear the metal clips grab it.
Yep.
We're going to repeat that once more. I should have unplugged this. You should unplug your computers when you're working on them, folks. Now let's turn it on. That's a memory upgrade. That's all there is. Let's turn it on. All right. And then let's see if you go back to...
If it recognizes.
Let's see if it boots. That'll be our first clear. You can go ahead and turn off camera 2 now. Thank you for that. Now, if we don't get a post screen, that means the memory is not compatible. It could be the wrong speed. But no, we're booting. And if I take this old memory and keep it in here, I'm now going to have 3 sticks, 3 kits of
16.
Yeah, 6 8-gig sticks, but they're in matched pairs, so
right.
Want to keep them together. Okay. Then I'll have to write on this with a Sharpie so I know what it is. Now, let's go back to full screen for you and I, because again, screen is real small. Sean Gallagher contributes $2. He goes, it's a max 64 gig of RAM and a max 2 terabytes. I don't think the storage is maxed at 2 terabyte. I think when they wrote the directions, there wasn't such a thing as a 4. I can't see any reason why a 4 wouldn't work. If I had a 4, I don't want to take the Gen 4 ones out. I don't have a spare 4 laying around, but I'm certain a 4 is going to work. But memory is a different story. It might even go to 128 gigs of RAM with a BIOS update. Again, you've got to consider when they write the directions of what technology is available at that time. That's why when I upgraded my Dell XPS, it said it was only good for up to 32 gigs of RAM, and I put 64 in, and they said it's not going to work, and of course it worked. Let's take a look at our installed RAM now. Yeah, you guys have to keep in mind, manufacturers often don't update their documentation. Once the product is out, it's out. It's out. And then the BIOS updates are the things that will enable it to be accepting new technology that did not exist when they released the product. So for example, 4 terabyte or 8 terabyte NVMe drives, or 64 gig modules where each module is 64 gigs. Do those even exist? The 32 gig ones are still pretty new. Oh, yeah, you can get 232s. I don't know that they'd make a 64 yet, but they will. Give it time. Let's see. Let's go down to about. Now look, 32 gigs of RAM is installed.
Shazam. And
that should make a heck of a difference in our performance. Yeah. And of course, pairing that with, let's say, a Samsung 970 EVO 2 terabyte, it's a little rocket ship. You really need 4 terabytes? Yes. I mean, 2 terabytes wouldn't be good enough. Aren't you streaming
I'll suffer with 2 and then add an external drive.
What if I put 2 2s in it? It's got 2 NVMe slots. I could put 2 terabyte Samsung 970s, and that's still cheaper than 1 4 terabyte drive, by the way.
That's a lot of storage. 4 terabytes.
You'd do that?
Totally.
Well, this RAM works.
Yeah,
it's totally compatible.
32,
I mean, I'll run
32,
memtest on it later, but
you just doubled the RAM. Yeah.
Am I making videos to make money, or am I making videos to cost me money? How does this work?
The latter. Okay, all right.
What happened to me? You think the mini helicopter, she'd be happy.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. The mini helicopter belongs there because it's Mama helicopter, and they have to have Mama and Baby.
Yeah, okay.
Have you ever said that, Mitch? Have you ever come over and said, Carrie, I got a Mama computer, and I need a matching baby computer?
As bookends, no. Do they still sell?
And I'd say, are you going to place that next to your Barbie house?
Yeah. Do they still sell the mini helicopter? Or is that like discontinued? I'm just curious.
I think it's still sold.
It's sold?
That's made by Thermaltake. If we run over to Amazon here right quick, let's share the screen with our audience.
It's just nice because it fits on a desk, but it's not.
It's wide though.
I mean,
it's pretty wide. Let's see, properties, window capture to Chrome. Okay, select. Okay, so now everybody can see my entire Amazon purchase history.
Okay, thermal take, we call it mini helicopter. They don't call it that, do they? Or
Yeah, it's an AHT 200. AT attack H helicopter 200 without the T after. Get that? AT attack H helicopter.
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it either, but I don't know how it's spaced out or if it's one word.
Put thermal take in there.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not looking good. Let's do. So that's the AH. So I had it backwards.
Okay.
AHT 600 is the big one. Oh, look, they got it in green now.
I kind of like
How is that only $129? That's a really good deal. By the way, the cable management sucks.
That's got to be the mini one. That's the mini one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the T200.
Yeah, but it's in green.
I don't even see the black one anymore. Well, maybe it's a color option when you select it. Wow, that's a good price.
I kind of like it.
Color.
You know, yeah.
Well, that's a different case. What color is that? Turquoise?
Turquoise. Yeah.
How is it that cheap? Okay, here's what you need to know about this case. You can see everywhere in it. So cable management is very, very difficult to hide.
Yeah.
And it's wide open in the back. See this great big hole.
So if you've got pets or kids.
Yeah, you got like a cat that wants to go where it's warm. You need to block that hole. And the space between the glass and there's a big 1 inch, 1.5 inch gap.
Yeah.
And then it's on hinges. So you take one screw out right up there that's in the glass, and the glass will swing open. And then it's on pins. You can lift it off the hinge if you want to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sitting on a desk, like you said, it is wide.
Why is that so cheap? You know what? That would cost me that much just to ship that.
Yeah.
Here,
it's still a conversation piece. I'll give you that. So.
I thought it was only available in black. I mean, but that green, that olive drab kind of.
What did it say? Only 3 left in stock.
I want that little thing. I know. Could you hurry up and leave? Because you're gonna just see more stuff you want. Give me a credit card. I'll get you whatever you want. Yeah. Just give me a credit card. See what happens when you get a camera person?
Yeah.
Now they want everything they film. Yeah. This is my own fault. I did this to myself. What do you think of that green helicopter case, though?
It's unique. I mean, and like you said, the price.
$129.99. I can't believe they can sell it that cheap. That's all custom made. That is crazy.
And you're sure that's metal? That's not plastic?
Oh, it's pick it up.
Yeah. So
it's been, it was been here.
Right.
The black one, the same size, only in black. It's been in this house for what, 6 months? You were welcome to pick it up at any time.
Yeah.
It's much lighter than the full size.
Yeah.
But you're going to use a micro ATX, and you have to put the power supply upside down.
Well, like you said.
So I get a power supply that has an LED on the fan, just so you get a little light show, because that's all the glass panels. Then the fan in front through the glass window glows RGB, and then put a liquid cooler on it.
Cable management too tough. Just too tough.
So the cable management, it's not that it's tough, it's that it's difficult to hide. You kind of have to go to the back and kind of shove everything off to the side. And since the wires are black and the case is black, it just kind of blends in with black cable ties.
Unless you go with a green.
Yeah. Okay, any questions from the chat room? Jim says, fortunately, my wife only wants a working computer. She doesn't care about all this hardware stuff. Well, it's just money, Jim. John Paul Bagan says the maximum amount of RAM and speed of RAM is determined by the CPU in the system. So the Ryzen 5 5600U should support the maximums. So that's usually defined by the BIOS, right? So yes, each CPU has a limit. Windows itself may artificially put a limit on the RAM, which they did back with Windows 7 Home versus Pro. There's still a limit even today in Windows 10 Home versus Pro, but it's like ridiculously high now. I think you can do 128 now, but anything above that, Windows Home won't see it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be how I remember it. And then, we were going to try a Samsung 970. And then what we can do is clone that drive over to the Samsung.
Okay.
Or I can just put Windows 10 on it and start over. These were on sale, these 970 Evo Pluses. The price went back up on these, by the way. These were $169, I think, and I told everybody, I never saw a price that cheap. It stayed that way for like a month. Then they're back to $199. But now the Intel 1 terabyte 660p's, what I think has happened is because Intel sold off their solid state drive division to SK Hynix. I think what they're doing is they're blowing all the Intel branded stuff that's in the warehouse. Just get rid of it, because SK Hynix wants their brand on it. So $69.99. In fact, let me go back to Amazon and let's pull up a couple things here. So we had the Thermaltake computer, the AHT200, which they call Racing Green, and has an open frame style case, which means it's going to get, there's lots of open area where stuff can get in. So maybe not ideal if you have small children or small pets. Let me go to Amazon and search for the Intel 660. 1 terabyte. My search results are showing me nooks for some reason. Okay, now let me share the screen with you guys again. Let's go back over to window capture. This right here, the Intel 660p. You've seen me use this. Usually I'll use it on like the 8-year build. And they're at $100, they're a good deal.
Yeah.
At $69.99, that's incredible. Now, this is not a high performance drive. If I were going to put an NVMe drive in an enclosure for USB, there's no sense getting anything faster than this, unless you've got Thunderbolt or something.
Right.
So why spend more money where the speed isn't going to benefit you? Also, your Windows boot up time going from, let's say, this 660p to the Samsung 970, or even a Gen 4, one of those like Fire CUDAs, it results in milliseconds of difference. Only people who do a ton of transfer would notice it. And furthermore, what would you be transferring it to at 3600? You'd have to have anything you would transfer it to, like something over the network, that's going to be limited by your network speed. Something to an external drive, that's limited to your USB speed. Something to another internal drive, well, that's limited to what kind of internal drive you have. So only having one drive that can go fast is only good for your program loading times and your operating system loading times. And when you go from, let's say, 2,000 megabytes per second on your reads on a sequential read to, let's say, 7,000, you might go from a 13-second boot up to an 11-second boot up. Like, it shaves just a little tiny bit off. I think people are so hung up on numbers and benchmarks, they don't really use, most people that are being so judgmental about demanding the best don't actually have any purpose for having it to justify it. They just want the bragging rights. This is a great deal.
But the fact, like you said, you can carry around 1 terabyte worth of storage. Would you put that in a little USB enclosure? I mean, that's a lot of storage.
Purchased
in your
7
pocket.
times.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why it's got me signed in. Let me sign out. And can I go back now? We'll just go back to Amazon. I don't like to leave it signed in because it's like, do you want to continue looking at this the 50 Shades of Grey books that you were looking at? Oh,
Never mind.
No, that
Yeah.
was not me. I mean, I order everything off Amazon. Everything. I got a loose in my bathroom, the handle for the faucet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had a loose screw.
It is. That's exactly what it is. And you have to like take this little plug out and put a little Allen wrench in there, and you can't see it. It's all, you got to work upside down. And I tighten it down. And a couple months later, it loosens again. I tighten it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get some Loctite. Now, yes, I could get in the car and drive over to Home Depot or what, but no, I just went to Amazon, gave me the blue Loctite, you know, that arrived, put a drop of that on the screw, then tightened it up.
Okay.
Now we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So, like, if I have a problem, Amazon's where I go for my solution. Intel 660p. So there's the 512 gig for $40.
Okay.
There's the 670p, which has a little better life, although you're unlikely to ever wear one out. And then here, this is the one I'm looking at. I use a ton of these in budget builds at $69.99, and they have the 2 terabyte. And again, if you're getting $100 per terabyte or less on an NVMe drive, it's a good deal. Look at 2 terabytes, just $140.
Yeah.
Now, if you compare that to the Samsung 970, which is a high performance drive, same 2 terabytes, Samsung 970 Evo Plus 2 terabytes, should be $199. It's $203. This will fluctuate 3 times a week.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay more than $199 for it. But this was on sale for $169 for a long time. So all of you who took advantage, I know many of you out there took advantage of that.
What a bargain at 160.
It's worth
at 169.
40 or 50 bucks more today than when you paid for it if you took my advice and bought one. And that's about the fastest Gen 3 drive. Anything more is you're definitely not going to notice. It's got a great long lifespan. And that's the other thing on those, I forgot to mention about the Seagate Fire CUDA that I had here, Seagate.
Can I get a water, please?
Yeah, help
please,
yourself.
please.
Seagate Fire CUDA 530 4 terabyte drive.
Okay.
It's expensive. Here's the 500 gig, and then, 4 terabytes. Look at the amount you can, it's write life. 5,100 terabytes written. Now look at that Intel 660p again. And we'll look at the this one right here. What is its TBW? That's its estimated amount of times how much data it can hold before the cells won't hold data. So it's saying it's 1,800, but I know we can get about 2,000 out of them. What is the terabytes? Am I not seeing it, or are they not telling us? Let's do this. Intel 66p 1 terabyte TBW. See, now it's called Solidyne, which is SK Hynix. Just so you guys know, you're going to be seeing the 660p, 670. They may even have firmware updates for the sole purpose of getting the Intel name off of it. So if you see there's a firmware update with the Intel utility, it'll tell you that the Intel utility will no longer support your drive after a certain period of time, and especially if you change the firmware, then Intel's going to go, that's not our product. But SK Hynix has got big plans. Right now, you'll still see Intel's promoting it, but all these websites are going to go down. Right now, they're in the middle of transitioning. And what's our TBW? It's a pretty significant difference, right? So that has an endurance of 200 terabytes written.
Okay.
Now, I've never seen a solid state drive
Fail.
have that much data written to it, ever. The idea that that Fire CUDA what was it, 5,200? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to a 3-digit number. That's a ridiculous lifespan. But that doesn't mean that it can't die 8 other ways. Like the controller can fail. One of the chips on the board can go bad. We're just talking about endurance. That is an incredible endurance on that Seagate Firecuda. But you don't get that Samsung Magician, you know, like you do with the 970. But they have the same warranty. They're all 5-year warranties. So those of you watching at home can go ahead and pick up your jaw. And let me go back over to the chat room and see what they're saying.
So these are now going for 203, you said, yeah.
Yeah, I paid 170 plus tax. I think there was a limit of 3. Let's see. Carrie, you're fighting a losing battle. You know, I know, but trust me, I know. John Paul Bacon's explaining the M key versus B key. Those are the cuts in the end, and then M and B key would be both. But some drives don't always follow that, by the way. I'm not sure why. She's not going to do any video editing, so why 64 gig? Because she wants it all. Yeah. If it was an all-you-can-eat buffet, she would fill her plate up this much, take 4 bites, push it away. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, what are you going to do? Sean Gallagher contributed $2. Thank you, Sean. I think I said that already.
Yep.
And will I update the BIOS? I don't think there is a BIOS update. I looked on the website when I first was looking at this, and I don't see anything with regards to support like that. It's one of the downsides when you buy from one of these companies like Ace Magician. Who are they? Will they become someone big? I mean, I remember when Samsung used to be called Gold Star. Lucky Gold, no, sorry, LG. LG used to be called Lucky Gold Star, and here in the States, Gold Star. And if you wanted it, we're gonna go down memory lane. If you wanted a really cheap VHS player, the Gold Stars were way cheaper than everybody else. And they were kind of plasticky and kind of flimsy, but they worked and they were much more affordable. But they weren't really known for their quality. So if you guys remember back in the 80s, the brand Gold Star was actually Lucky Gold Star, which is now simply LG. Use Wikipedia if you're really interested in learning more. Sort of like that whole Datsun Nissan thing.
Yep.
Captain Lacey says, I like that green case. I'm normally not a fan of the alien looking cases. It's not an alien look. It looks like an Apache attack helicopter, like just the front of it, which is what it's designed to look like. Speed limit to a NAS is usually doesn't exceed 120 megabytes per second. Yeah, on my NAS, on a gigabit network, I can do, it's like 123, 125. And if I put in a 2.5 gigabit network, I get a little faster, but I don't think it's worth the hassle, you know. So something that took 15 seconds to copy to my NAS will now take 7 seconds. I mean, I do mess around with some pretty large video files. But it's not like I have to stare at it. For all I care, it can take 6 hours to copy. I'm going to be opening up other apps and still moving on with my day, going through emails. It's copying in the background. What do I care?
And the communication recently, I spoke to the woman and I'm like, can you look up to see if there's fiber even remotely close to where I live? And she's like,
did she laugh?
Well, she's like,
what?
yeah. Because I said, I'm willing to go as high as, you know.
She said, yeah, you must be high if you think you're going to get fiber.
Yeah.
Is that what they said?
No, but I just said, I'll pay $200. I won't pay $300 a month.
She said, I have a better idea. How about you pay nothing because we're not offering it to you? Does that fit your budget? Nothing?
Yeah, because I said, Gigablast is nice, but I want fiber. She's like, yeah, you and everybody else.
Yeah.
1,000 download and 1,000 upload. That's what everybody wants.
Then they went to LG meaning life is good. Yeah, that's marketing for you, right? David Ice, hello, and Mitch, sorry I can't see the chat. I had cataract surgery, but I can hear you. Did they do both eyes with cataract? I thought they only did one eye at a time.
That's what I was under the impression. They did one, you had to come back.
I thought. Well, we're glad you're here. We're not much to look at anyway.
What do you mean, we? All right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
he's
okay.
not much to look at anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for the
I had to
correction.
get that dig in, yeah.
Let's see. There's Ryan contributing to Canadian dollars. He says, I remember Gold Star. Do you remember Zenith? Oh, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And who was another one that made TVs back then? RCA was big,
Yeah.
Zenith. There's one other one that's eluding me right now that when I see Zenith, I think of this other one.
Yeah, it was big.
Zeniths were good, though.
Yeah.
What is the name? Magnavox.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Emerson. Emerson was always cheap stuff.
Yeah.
Patrick's
Yeah.
mentioning Emerson. Yeah, Emerson was always inexpensive and didn't last very long. Never saw it as quality. Hey, there, Terry Hughes says Magnavox. Right on. Sharp. That's another one. I hated
yeah.
Sharp stuff. I hated it.
Hitachi, God.
Panasonic, of course. Yeah. Oh, I was going to open this and there was a squirrel.
Yeah, got sidetracked there.
Someone call me?
Yay, it's Nutty! Wishing everybody a happy Friday. Need a drink?
Doesn't Nutty? It's got to be storing up for the winter, right?
Need a drink? Nice Fiji water. Thank you. Yeah, winter's coming.
It's pretty polite.
Yeah.
For a squirrel.
Yeah.
He's giving me side eye.
Okay.
Sometimes during the show, I get distracted and go off topic, and we refer to these as squirrel moments, the way that a dog perhaps you might be walking your dog and you're moving in a certain direction with a goal, and the dog sees a squirrel and everything just changes in an instant. That's why. We have the warning up.
You've been warned. Speaking of warned, it's just about time for corny joke of the day.
Man, I tell you what.
Yeah.
These last few corny jokes have been.
Yeah, no more chicken jokes.
They've been hurting me.
Yeah.
Like not hurting from laughter.
Okay.
They hurt my brain.
Okay, well I got two this week.
So let's at least make it cute.
Okay.
Not painful.
Okay.
Please.
You ready, Nutty? Okay. Ready. Okay, here we go. What did one octopus say to the other?
What did one octopus say to the other?
Let's hold hands and hands and hands and hands.
What did I just tell you?
Okay, all right, that was not a good one. What did the turkey say to the farmer?
What did the turkey say to the farmer?
How come I don't see anything on my calendar after November? Now that's
You've made up for it.
Okay, thank you.
That's an inquisitive turkey.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, did you say we could put this in and then clone
That's exactly what I said.
Clone the Windows 11 over to the new one?
Yeah. So what we could do? Again, the machine is off. We should unplug it.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Do I have to be the close-up girl now? No. Yeah. I can. I mean, it's right there. You know. Although I don't know how.
$20 is $20.
Yeah, I don't know how to flick it on and off. So no.
Well, tell you what, I don't think we really need a close-up for putting an NVMe drive in. Right?
You just turned it on.
Well, yeah, when I picked it up, I held the button in.
Yeah, well, so don't do that. Okay.
That's why you should always
unplug it.
When I picked it up to show the audience, I picked it up and pushed the button, and that's why that happened.
Okay.
That didn't hurt anything. I mean, it's fully seated, but it's just the design.
And if it recognized the SATA drive, it's sure going to recognize this drive.
Well, we're about to find out. So we'll plug that back in, turn it on purpose this time.
Okay.
There it goes. And then we'll switch over to the HDMI input. Let's put us in a corner. Let's do that. Camera 1 up in the corner. Okay. Now, in theory, oh, and there's a new version of Acronis out, which I have not yet downloaded. I can do a couple of things. I can do a fresh, clean install of Windows 11 since there's nothing on here.
Okay.
I could do a fresh, clean install of Windows 10. Or I can clone this install from the drive they included to the new drive and then take their drive out. But to clone it, I need the Acronis software, which means I have to either install Acronis or boot from an Acronis rescue disk.
I think she wants Windows 10.
Oh, I don't think she's going to get it.
Okay. I don't like Windows 11. That's just me. All right.
Oh, well, let's just try. This is a good reason to use Acronis.
Okay.
Right, and if for some reason it doesn't work, because of the security of Windows 11, it might say, well, something's changed. It may not allow the system to boot from the clone drive unless we disable secure boot. I'm not sure. So let's just have a little fun and see what happens.
Well, first you were going to look to make sure it sees the drive.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it will, though. But thank you for keeping me honest. I am making an assumption. Of course, it's going to see the drive, but let's just verify. Right-click on the start.
When you assume, all right.
I'm usually right.
No, that's not what I.
Was that not it?
No, that's
something like that. I can't remember. And I'm assuming that when I assume,
yeah.
I'm normally right. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave. I'm not going to do anything with it. So it's an unallocated 2 terabyte drive, which is interesting. It's in the disk 0 position. So in theory, the way they ship it is in disk 1. My OCD says you should have put that in disk 0, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
If you've got 2 drives that are bootable, it's going to default, unless you change it in the BIOS, to trying to boot off drive 0 first, right? Numerically speaking, it's going to start at the beginning. Go ahead and find a USB port back there if you would, and that's an Acronis Rescue bootable Windows PE environment USB flash drive, and we want to boot to this. So let's do that. Let's close this window. Now, rather than hitting a certain F key, like F12 or F10 or whatever it is during the boot up, and then you have that little opportunity of time, and if you miss it, you gotta wait for Windows to load. Instead, let's go to the settings, and then let's go to...
I remember you typing in something where it boots. Yeah.
And then we'll go to... Oh, we got an update waiting. Wait a minute. Windows 11 has moved stuff on me here. Where's our troubleshooter?
I'm standing next to him. All right, yeah.
That's just trouble.
Yeah, not...
Advanced options, Windows Insider. It's not advanced, is it? That's just Windows Update Advanced. Yeah. Restart apps. Recovery. Is it recovery? Advanced startup. Let's hit that button right there. We'll restart your device. Okay. And it should ask me if I want to restart to a flash drive. I think.
Don't hurt yourself.
This is the most I've used Windows 11 in 3 months.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, apart from, oh, no, it looks like, well, I don't know if it's booting off the USB or not. Oh, here we go. So we want to use a device, and we want to boot.
Doesn't see it.
I don't see it. What is this? This must be the internal drive with the name brand I can't figure out.
Okay.
This is a UEFI CD DVD drive. Let's see what that does. Probably just gonna load us back into Windows again. So as it says in the screen there, it looks like it's just loading off the main drive. Well, thankfully, oh no, it's loading off the flash drive.
Okay.
It did load to Acronis. Tools and utilities. Clone. Automatic. Next.
This is where I get confused. All right, let's see here.
So notice that my flash drive is as big as the NVMe drive this machine comes with.
Okay.
So the SanDisk Extreme 0 Pro is the USB flash drive that we just booted from.
Okay.
The reason we don't see disk 1 is there's no, we're selecting the source.
Right.
But disk 1 hasn't even got a format or a partition, so it can't be the source, so it doesn't even offer it to us.
Okay.
So we want disk 2, which is the NVMe drive, not the USB.
Right. So you want to highlight it.
So we want that one, and then we hit next. Now it's going to see where is a potential target for that source to be copied to, and now
There it is.
disk 1 is not initialized as the 2 terabyte. You round it up.
Okay.
Samsung 970 Evo Plus. Now it actually is 2 terabytes. It's that Microsoft considers a K as 1024, and the drive manufacturers consider a K as 1000.
Okay.
So when Microsoft does the math, if you take 2000, I'm trying to think how this works. They call it gib, G-I-B, like boy, gigabytes.
Okay.
If you guys want to research that, look up gigabytes versus gigabytes. It's not that the drive, I'll see tech journalists sometimes write, it's a 2 terabyte drive that's 1.8 terabytes after formatting. No, it's still 2 terabytes, you moron. It's just that the operating system is dividing the math by 1024 instead of by 1000. And so then it's still the same exact size. It didn't shrink. Okay? Now they're going to ask me that question on purpose. How come my 2 terabyte drive is only showing 1.8 terabytes? Where did the other 200 gigs go? Math can be hard. We're going to use this to replace a disk on this machine. Yes. Next. So the drive right now is empty, and when we're done, the drive's going to look like this. It's going to have these partitions, and the green represents the data on each partition. Watch how fast this is going to go from NVMe to NVMe to clone this. I can guarantee you this is way faster than doing a clean install, plus doing all the updates, plus the activation,
that's true, yeah.
plus all the drivers, and
because you've already done that.
it's already been done.
Yeah.
So now all we do is clone it. It says 7 minutes left. I bet it won't even take 7 minutes. I mean, this is live, folks. What you're seeing is in real time.
Unscripted.
Well, that much is obvious.
Yeah.
So Acronis is formatting and partitioning, and it's making a mirror duplicate image and automatically resizing the partitions, so I don't have to do that. With other cloning software, you might have to manually go in and resize those partitions, or you have to define everything, where in Acronis, if you select auto, the defaults in auto, just you're pretty much clicking next. Just make sure you got the right source drive and the right target drive. That's the hardest part of it. Now, sometimes there can be boot issues, especially if we booted off of a legacy boot drive, but we're cloning UEFI, or the other way around, and then it doesn't boot. And I hope Acronis does something to address this, but that's usually when people say, hey, I cloned, it said it worked, but it won't boot from it. It's probably because you were not in UEFI mode when you did the clone of a UEFI interface. Look, it's already done. Right?
Now let me ask you something. You've got on the Acronis, you have it on a USB that's a 3.1.
That's right.
Do they have 3.2s?
Yeah, SanDisk makes 3.2 flash drives.
So would it be, just a smidge faster if you put it on a 3.2?
Depends what you're plugging it into.
Yeah.
I mean, all we did is boot off of it.
Yeah.
So.
But that was fast. That wasn't even 7 minutes. That couldn't have been 3.
So let's close this out.
Okay.
And we'll shut this down. Hold the power button until it shuts off. Just keep holding the power button until it shuts off. Any minute now. 1, 2, 3,
Bueller.
4,
Bueller. No.
5,
6, 7. Why don't you unplug the barrel jack?
That should shut it down.
Yeah.
That's very weird. Yeah, we'll just pull power. Good idea, Mitch.
I have them on occasion.
All right, we'll take the flash drive out.
I'll hold that.
And all I'm going to do is remove that original drive it came with. Since we're already in the drive 0 location, that's where I want it. So we'll take their drive out. Now, granted, it's not a $500 computer after you bump up the memory and switch out the drive.
No. And again, if you had two of these, two terabyte, is that right? Two terabyte drive, yeah, two terabyte drives. Tongue twister.
That's going to cost you almost as much as the whole machine. Okay, plug it in, turn it on, and see if Acronis did its thing like it's supposed to. I don't know, like with Windows 11, I don't think I've ever cloned Windows 11 before. And I'm not doing anything in the BIOS, I'm not making any changes. Everything is live, unscripted.
You think it'll work? I think it'll work.
I
not
don't
sure.
know, I'm
Yeah,
hopeful.
yeah.
I mean, we're off to a good start. And then the wallpaper and the icons and the programs, everything should look exactly the same way as it did before. Only our free space should be much larger. So again, even the location of the icons is the same.
Yeah.
This is the original drive in my hand, which is funky. And if we go to the C drive now, oh, I got to use this mouse. I just wanted to make sure we were still broadcasting that out. Yeah. Screen again for me. All right, now let's go look at the C drive. 2 terabytes. Yeah. And we can load the NVMe driver and the Samsung Magician software. But first, let's shut it down and let's put another Samsung 970. Shut this down. Let's go back over to camera 1 full screen. So that's done.
You got another one?
Yeah, well, I bought, the limit was 3 when they were on sale, and I thought, you know, they're not going to go bad, right?
Well, he's getting that.
I've got a couple 980s here, too.
In chat, let me know where you're watching us from. I'm just taking out the screw. Screw loose, all right. Magnetic.
Hold on, I got to get in this drawer.
Oh, okay.
Did you see how that just got taken from me?
I'm
I'm here doing a review, and
yeah.
I want that. And I want it with 4 terabytes, and I want it with 64 gigs of RAM. That's what makes her so darn cool, if I'm honest, though.
Yeah.
She'll use it.
Was that gasket supposed to be on that?
No, there's like sometimes there's a little tape, or there's a little.
Oh, okay.
And it's to because you're screwing down into metal. In theory, there shouldn't be anything on the flash drive. It should all be grounded here.
Okay.
So if it does touch metal on metal, it shouldn't hurt anything. But that's just a way to insulate. You want to do this one?
Go get the Loctite. Okay. All right.
No, we're not using Loctite on this. Got to be careful what I say around Mitch.
Yeah.
We have 366 people watching from all over the world. We've got folks joining us from Finland, the UK and Spain, Florida, Virginia, West Virginia, Finland, I said Finland, Wisconsin, Aberdeen, Scotland, Mike McRae's in Aberdeen, Scotland, Central Georgia, Wilmington, Delaware, Nicaragua, wow, look at that, Southwest Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, St. Louis, Missouri, that's where Randy Phillips joins us. Randy says, it says Photoshop 7 will not work on a drive larger than 1 terabyte.
I don't want to tighten it too much.
What,
you want to check
what
my
version
work?
is Photoshop up? How many years old is Photoshop?
I don't know. You want to check my work?
So when we're doing these NVMe drives, all these screws do is just secure it in position. You don't torque them down. You just want to get it to a point. These were good. I just maybe turned it just a little teeny tiny bit, but they were fine. And then in theory, this just goes on what? Like,
we'll show them here. Not that we're close, but
how did this go on? It goes on.
The 2 magnets go there. That's for sure.
Those go there. There's 2 hooks here.
Nubbins. All right. Yeah.
Nubbins.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I see. They go in. There's a slot. Well, that's it. It's on.
Okay.
Look. You can tell from my attitude when I started this video, I had some pretty low expectations on this thing, primarily because they're calling it a gaming PC, simply because it's got RGB. I do really like this feature of getting in performance or silence, and I like that it's not software, but rather a physical button. So we're going to turn this back on, and we're going to switch back over to the HDMI input. So let's put us back in the corner again. And so since the only thing you need to clone is your C drive. If you have multiple drives, you would not need to clone drive D or E or F, or then you just do a copy and paste. Just highlight all, copy and paste.
But shouldn't we format that drive?
But we will need to create a partition and format it. Did I turn this on?
You did.
There it goes. Let's see. Because the LEDs weren't on, so I'm like, what happened? Now with 32, oh, that's new. Press enter to try again. Enter. Your PC needs to be repaired. Press F1, press F8, press escape for firmware settings.
What have I done?
I don't know. Turn it off and back on again. That's not expected. Maybe it's trying to boot from drive 0, from drive 1 first.
Oh.
Shouldn't. It should see that whatever one's bootable is the one it should boot from. It's pretty consistently doing this, though.
So what do you have to go in
needs
the BIOS?
to be repaired.
Too much storage.
Let's enter to try again.
Live and unscripted.
F8 for startup setting. Okay, F8's not doing anything. Escape. Huh. Maybe I'm just too impatient. Well, here's our BIOS, ladies and gentlemen.
To make that bigger so I can see.
Yeah. Let's get rid of our camera too. I haven't been in here before, so I don't know what's going on. 32 gigs of memory. Oh, look at all this stuff. Holy macaroni. IDE configuration. I don't want to enable hibernation. That's NVMe configuration. It sees them. What's our boot order? Wow, get you all the information on the RAM. That's pretty cool. Security boot. Boot option 1. Boot option 2. Oh, well, how do I know which one's which? Let's turn fast boot off. So here's the question. Are we the first one or the second one?
Take a chance.
I would think the
50,
first one.
You might be 50% right.
Save changes and exit. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Is this all it needed?
Now, was that the top one or the
yeah,
bottom?
the top one. Well, you think the top one should be listed alphanumeric. It should be in numeric order. So drive 0 should be above drive 1. But that ain't working. Now here's the thing.
Okay.
This only happened when we added the other NVMe drive.
Yes, sir.
So if I hit F8, will it give me startup settings? No. Let me go back in the BIOS. Escape for UEFI. Let me choose the other one. Okay. So you choose the top, selected.
Top.
I said choose.
I chose
the top one.
Okay, go to
all right,
boot.
let's go over to, oh, wrong keyboard. Boot. Here. There. Save and exit.
Shazam.
Look at that. See, Cronus didn't do anything wrong. Maybe that's why they put it, maybe it's starting at drive 1 first for some reason. So we want to probably switch those out so I can avoid the support call when the BIOS gets reset. So now we can go, okay, this mouse. Right click on the start button, go to disk management. Are we on performance? This thing's getting loud. I'll put it on auto right in the middle. It automatically prompts me. I just click OK, and it's going to go ahead and make one large partition. Then I right click on it and say new simple volume. Next, next. That'll be drive D. We can give it a name, which I don't want. We'll just keep it blank. Won't let me.
Wrong keyboard.
Blank. Oh.
Never mind.
I didn't just take us offline, did I?
No.
Whew. I'm always just going to grab the keyboard in front of me. I don't know. But let me go back to full screen for us again. I got to remember to use the right keyboard and the right mouse. Okay, so I'm going to leave the volume label blank. Hit next. Hit finish. It's formatted. You go to properties. I like to turn off indexing. It just takes up hard drive space.
Now I have a question for you.
No.
What if I wanted to take those two drives and make it one big drive? One single drive?
Well, that would be a RAID array.
Oh, what if, yeah.
And if either drive would fail, you'd lose everything on both.
Yeah, yeah.
So in this case, why don't you pretend it's a big 4 terabyte drive that you partitioned in 2 terabytes?
Okay. Yeah, works for me.
Let me go over now to, should have a C drive and a D drive, and I want to turn indexing off on this one as well. Oh, I've already turned indexing off here. Will Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer work on Windows 11? I don't see why it wouldn't work. So she's going to pay a price, which is she's going to be the guinea pig on this.
I don't think it will. That's just me.
I think it's going to be just fine. Let's see.
Don't be such a negative Nancy. All right.
Well, first of all, let's put on the Samsung NVMe driver, which I have here on this flash drive.
Okay.
Once this installs, it'll need to reboot with the new driver in place. Oh, it's very quiet. Well, this machine just got a lot more attractive. 32 gigs of RAM and 4 terabytes of fast NVMe storage. I mean, Gen 3, but, and RGB.
Yeah. We got to figure out a way in software to turn that off, though.
The RGB?
Yeah, if it's a software thing.
I mean, I could just read the directions.
If all else fails.
It might be a key combination you have to hit, or maybe there's no option.
Right.
I wish it was like a dial where you can, or a button you press to cycle through different modes or brightnesses.
Brightnesses is?
Right, yeah. But I didn't see anything from the manufacturer in the start menu, and this is how they shipped it to me. You got to go to all apps to see the start menu on Windows 11. AMD Radeon software, well, that's the graphics card. I don't see Ace Magician mentioned anywhere in here.
Oh.
I don't, this is all pretty standard stuff. I can't imagine it's going to be in the Radeon software. You never know. Take a look, though. Set it up for gaming. Upgrade advisor. Noise suppression. I mean, there could be something in here, maybe, if it's tied into AMD somehow.
Somebody in chat will let us know.
Yeah, they're probably beating their head against the wall going,
yeah.
How do these guys have a show?
Yeah, just look.
It's real easy.
Yeah.
You just start one. You don't have to know nothing. All right. Uncle Carrie. Okay, so I want to do the
Samsung Magician.
Samsung Magician. Sorry, squirrel. Samsung Magician. Let's load that right off the flash drive.
And it'll recognize both drives, correct?
Yeah, and it'll, even if you had a USB Samsung drive, when you plug it in, it'll automatically see it as well. If Samsung makes it as a storage drive, Samsung Magician software will likely see it. There are some solid state drives that Samsung makes that the Magician is not compatible with. But I know for a fact it works great with the 970s. Same is true with that NVMe driver. It may not work with all Samsung, and they do tell you when you go to download the software from Samsung which drives it's compatible with. And since it's their software and it's their drives, if there was a new drive that was, they would, unlike the documentation where they like, oh, you can only have 32 gigs of RAM, but now you can have 64 because the RAM size changed. The motherboard manufacturer is not the one making the RAM, so therefore they often don't update that information. But since Samsung makes the software, this Magician software, the NVMe driver, and the drive, they will tell you if they introduce a new drive that is compatible. So there's our two drives.
Okay.
It even sees the SanDisk, but it just can't really give us much information on it. And then finally, and you'll see there's no big letter N for an update, so there's no firmware update here. Let's go to Uncle Kerry's Windows 10 optimization tool. Oh, let's throw VLC on here.
That's
too.
what. Yeah, that's what I was about to just say. Yeah. Throw it on there.
I don't like the Windows movie player and the Groove music and the movie player.
No.
I uninstall those. If VLC won't play some media,
It can't be played.
find another source, because I would suspect that media is something ain't right with it. Could be virus or it's all good. All right. Now, right now, Uncle Kerry's Windows 10 optimization tool is not checking if you have Windows 11.
Okay.
All right. We have not really done anything with it in a while. It's still available for sale. And the registry keys do exist because Windows 11 is 90% or more. 98% is basically Windows 10 with 2% of changes. So there shouldn't be any harm in any of this. But I also don't know that if there's really any benefit either. But it shouldn't hurt anything. So with those changes in effect, we're rebooting right now. That's why you see the no signal, but you can still hear us. And we're going to run Crystal Disk Mark again. You remember what the numbers were with this not older, but the drive that it came with. Thank you. Okay. And in just a minute, you'll see the system tray populate down here, and we should see the Samsung Magician. Oh! See, one of the things the Uncle Kerry's optimizer does is it's supposed to unhide all these icons. So that's not working in Windows 11.
Okay.
I want to show all of the widget, not widgets, what are they called? Tray icons. Taskbar behaviors. It's in here somewhere. Well, that's good to know. So again, I'm sure it's not going to hurt anything, but I hate having icons in my system tray hidden from me.
Yeah. I don't like the icons in the center myself, but there's a way to move them back over.
Well, yeah, that's super easy. You just go right here, taskbar settings, and then for your start, where is it?
Taskbar behaviors.
I forget where it is. It's really super. Right-click the start button. Is it settings? Display, sound, notifications, power, storage, activation, recovery. So I made a video showing how easy this was, and I have forgotten. I'm sure in the chat they're yelling at me. Let me look in the chat room real quick. It's really easy. Taskbar overflow. Is it taskbar overflow? I don't think that's it. Samsung 980, their NVMe driver is not supported. That's right. Taskbar behavior. Show all hidden icons. You just had it. Figures. All right, let me go full screen again. Right click on taskbar settings.
Taskbar behaviors at the bottom.
Behaviors. Automatically hide. Show the badges. I don't care about that. Save. Share any window. Don't care. Select the far corner. None of that is what here. Taskbar alignment.
There you go.
See, I knew it was there. Does that make you happy now?
Yes, sir.
All right. See, I told you it was easy.
Yeah.
Finding it is hard, but once you find it, it's just a click. And then as far as showing the hidden icons, where is that at?
Something overflow?
I didn't think it was overflow. Maybe they've changed the name. I don't know what this chat thing is. I'm going to turn that off. Oh, don't like it. Task view, that's fine. Widgets. She's going to change all this anyway. Save any window to my taskbar. Show badges on taskbar apps automatically. Hide, no. Trust. Oh, overflow. You want to see the magician. I see. Wasn't there a show all?
Didn't see it.
Choose which icons. Well, we don't need Windows Explorer. Windows Security. Let's add that. Radeon. Let's add that. Teams, no. Windows Explorer in there twice, or am I seeing things? Samsung Magician. Why would VLC be in the right corner? That's weird. Okay, well, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Because I want to see the security settings.
Okay. Yeah.
Those other things I don't care about. So we can dismiss and dismiss, turn on. That should keep it happy. Now, Crystal Disk Mark.
Boy, will the numbers be different.
Let's try drive C. And let's see, we went from a 250 gig to a 2000 gig drive, 2 terabytes. The way solid state drives work
What a difference.
is the larger the capacity the solid state drive is, the faster it is. That's just the way the technology works. That's not to say that all 2 terabyte solid state drives are faster than all 1 terabyte. What I am saying is that if a manufacturer makes a specific model, like let's take that Seagate FireCuda 530. If we compare the different capacities of the 530 against itself, the larger capacities are faster. And this is true of all solid state, of all NVMe drives. If I had a 4 terabyte drive that was a FireCuda 530, it would be slower than an 8 terabyte version of the exact same make and model. So if we're comparing, trying to think of a succinct way to say this, if we're comparing the manufacturer's different capacities amongst the same model, universally, the larger the capacity in that model range is also the faster drive. So one of the reasons this is going to run faster is not only because it's a faster controller, but also 10 times the capacity. Well, 250, it's 8 times the capacity of what was in there. Does it feel hot?
Warm, but not, yeah.
We can turn camera 1 back on again. Put us back. Kevin Perry says, taskbar corner overflow is how to toggle each one to turn on. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, guys. Thanks to all of you, Tristan and Mortant and Kevin. And others who I haven't seen. William says the last numbers were in the 2200 range. Yeah, that puts it in that budget like Intel 660p would, even though Intel says 1800, I get about 2000 out of them. So we're almost twice that. 3600 is the most you can expect out of Gen 3. 7,200 is about the most you can expect out of Gen 4, and about 14,500 will be all. That'll be all you can expect from Gen 5. Gen 5 probably by March, I'm going to guess.
Fast.
A lot of discussion of the new AMD 7000 Ryzen chips that are coming out. But keep in mind, what's just as important is what motherboard you're pairing that with and what RAM you're using and what storage you're using. A lot of times these reviewers, whether it's YouTube or it's an article, Tom's Hardware, they're saying the Ryzen chip is faster compared to the Intel chip in this application or that application. But very rarely do they emphasize how important the motherboard choice was on the Intel side and the AMD side. A lot of times when they're testing these new AMD chips, they're using, like I remember the previous generation of AMD chips, they were shipping out the MSI Godlike $600 motherboard to the reviewers to test the chip in. Well, how many people are going to buy a $600 motherboard for a $500 chip? If you put that same chip into some budget board, you're not going to get those performance numbers, and then it may not outpace the Intel. If the Intel's on a better board, it's not just going chip to chip. You've got to consider the RAM, the speed, the storage. Heck, even the power supply can make a difference. So when you're deciding what chip you want to buy, you got to factor in all the other stuff. And at the end of the day, the AMD stuff, like right now, they're comparing the AMD chip that hasn't come out yet to the Intel chips that are out. Well, of course they're faster. Yeah. But Intel's got the 13th gen coming out. So why didn't they test their chip that's coming out with Intel's chip that's coming? Well, that won't look as good, will it? So we'll have to wait and see how Intel responds. I am not anti-AMD. I want to see AMD do well.
There's our numbers.
And by the way, the heatsink on the new Ryzen 7000 series looks really cool. I mean, you're never going to see it once the heatsink's on it, but it looks really, really neat. I like that. All right, so there's drive. There's our main drive. Well, let's go to our secondary drive. Now, do know that these tests will never be the same twice in a row, but we should be within the same range. So if we just pay attention to these numbers up here, the top, these are our sequential reads and sequential writes. That is the best it could do under the best circumstances. So 3469 and 3496. Let's switch this to drive D, which is the drive that is empty, and run the same tests again, and we should get basically the same numbers, maybe just a few digits, one way or the other. There we go. I was a little worried, like that's a major difference. If we're in the 3400 range, 3494. So last time was 3469 there. But again, if we ran the same test on drive C again, we still won't get 3469. It'll always be different, but it should be within reason, within that range. So we're at the high end of 3400, just shy of 3500, and we should see that on the rights as well. So let me just make the screen smaller so we can look back at the chat room and see what they're saying. Oh, I see Giordani's joined us in the chat. He wants me to check my phone. Okay. I guess we're done with this, right? Giordani says, I just got back from the Bahamas. Here's $20. Say hi to Mitch and to everyone else in the chat. Very nice. Yeah. Thank you, Giordani. He sent $20. Thank you for supporting the show. I just shipped a computer to him. He get it like 2 weeks ago, I think. And then all that stuff I ordered from Amazon, I got a bunch of emails saying, your order is shipped, your order is shipped. Okay. Haven't missed anything else, so nice and quiet. And we're just waiting for these test results. This camera is holding up pretty well. It hasn't overheated on us. Again, this camera right here is the A7C. And this camera over here me turn this off. What happened? Where did my, is it camera 3? Yeah, that's camera 3. That's the Panasonic 4K camera. Some people thought it looked washed out, but I think it looks pretty good. And I haven't done anything with it. Like since the last time we used this, last Friday, I didn't touch it.
So no tweaking,
You haven't adjusted even the white balance, nothing. All I did is move it on the tripod so I could put the other camera up. So I'm on, like I said, just a flat basis, sort of out of the box. Once I get in there and start dialing stuff in, I should be able to get an even better image out of that.
Yeah.
But for right now, this camera's handling our audio, and I just think it handles the audio better than the new Canon. I will eventually have the audio hooked into the Zoom F6, and then our audio should get much, much better once I get off my butt and do that. What I've got to do is I did buy a shelving unit that I'm going to put this computer and stuff over here behind me, which is where it should have been a long time ago. When I do that, then I'll also shortly thereafter put the audio equipment back there too, because right now it's going to be a whole mess of cabling. This is already crowded enough.
Yeah, and we'll have a lot more working space.
So we'll go back over to camera 1. Oh, I forgot. That's okay. Yeah, so look at the numbers.
Yep.
Did a little bit better. Oops, I didn't want that. I wanted full screen, 3523. Now, when it comes to stuff like Prime 95, I want you to remember that these machines aren't built to run something that intensive on them. But if you're sadistic, oh, the benchmark's still running. All right, I thought the benchmark was done.
It's done now.
No, it's got, at the very top, it says like 1 of 5, 2 of 5. So it's it runs 5 tests, averages them out, and that'll be the final number. You're going to move all that, and then they're going to ask you to move out. Well, you know, when I go on vacation, I'm looking for a house. I will be doing a lot of house shopping.
Looking at towns,
and if I'm
looking
lucky,
at homes.
Maybe the house that is meant for me will just happen to be up for sale while I'm there. I won't know till I get there, but I'm definitely going to be.
But a vacation is you're supposed to kind of relax and enjoy, and
I'm going to enjoy looking at homes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it every day.
No.
But
you've got a mission.
Let me put it this way: if the first day I go out looking at homes, I find the house I want, then I can enjoy the rest of the vacation.
Yeah.
What do you think the odds of that happening are? But it's possible. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It could happen.
It is, yeah.
All right. Anyway, there's our final numbers. So again, if we were going to do Prime 95 on this, then you're a sick person to torture a machine like this. So let's do it.
No. It'll blow up.
It won't blow up.
Start smoking.
Nah.
True smoke.
We'll hear it get loud, and then we'll see the temps rise.
And then you can shut it down.
I mean, it'll start shutting down cores and even power itself off.
Okay.
There's no harm. There's no physical harm we're causing. Now, if we were doing that every day, all the time, it might create some excess wear and tear on the overall lifespan. But just a few minutes, not gonna. All right, so there's a lot of information here. And this is full screen, and it's still too small for me to read it. Where's our temps? Isn't there a sensors button on this? Let me close this. Close that. Sensors only. Okay, that's what I wanted. And apparently there's a new version I can download, but we're not going to do that now. Somewhere there's the... Where are my temps? Right down here. Right, temps, it did already get up to 61 centigrade, which, you know, look, I like to keep it under, at most, 80.
Okay.
So Prime 95 is not a realistic test. It really is a massive torture test. It's going to work the RAM, the CPU, all the cores, and it's going to do it relentlessly. So we've got a number of 6 cores and total of 12 threads. It's like having 12 CPUs. As soon as I click OK, the torture begins, and I'm going to start the stopwatch, and we'll see how long it takes before it will inevitably overheat. Okay, that's going. Okay. Well, how come I don't see the temps? Okay, let's keep an eye on that, folks. And we are in auto mode. So we're not in silent, we're not in performance. We're just going to leave it in auto. And we're going to go back to a normal size screen, so Mitch and I won't be able to see it. If it starts climbing over,
Let us know.
80, let's say when it gets to 90, let me know. If it gets to 90, I'm pretty sure it's going to get there. But at least I want to be able to see the chat room and talk to you guys. When we're full screen like that, you see us, but we can't see you. In fact, we can make our camera a little bigger now, since there's really nothing much to see other than the temps. Jim thinks it'll overheat in about 10 minutes. Hey, if it'll go 10, that's pretty good. I used to run the Prime 95 test for 15 minutes. Now I usually run it for 20, just to be thorough. And then as for the link for this product, I'll go over to Amazon. It's the Ace Magician Mini PC. So let me go to the screen capture. So we're gonna just overwrite everything else here for a minute so you guys can, if you're interested in buying one of these, like I said, it's a lot nicer than I was like. It's exceeded my expectations. You'll see they're not selling it with a 256 gig like I got. They're 512 gig now. Windows 11 Pro, not Home. It does 4K out the HDMI and DisplayPort with a Type-C, and it does have Wi-Fi 6 built in, and I don't see any antennas, but apparently it's got Wi-Fi in there.
Bluetooth. And
Bluetooth 5.2. I don't know what auto power on means. There's all the specs. And the link for this is in the video notes. If you use my link and you buy it, I make a small commission. It's a nice way to support the channel. And you're buying it anonymously. I can see what was purchased and when it was purchased, but not who purchased. So it can do 3 displays. How can it do 3 if there's only 2 video outputs?
There's HDMI display and Type-C.
Oh, they can go through okay, USB. It says cutting edge cooling performance. How to download the RGB control software. Log in to Ace Magician. Download AMR5. AMR5. Why wasn't it pre-installed?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's go to, well, I don't know what Google's going to do. Ace Magician, AMR5, RGB, download. There it is. Oh, but I'm downloading it onto the streamer.
Oh,
I need to download it over here. So let me go back. Well, you know what? I'll just copy it onto the flash drive. Let's just steal the flash drive. And I am kind of curious how our temps are holding up over here. Still doing good. We're only at 4.5 minutes though. We'll keep an eye on that. Let me plug this flash drive into the streamer. Then we will open downloads folder to extract this zip file into a folder of the same name, and then we're going to copy that folder over to this flash drive. Oh, that's not where I wanted it. I copied it to my hard drive. It got plugged into the router. USB drive E, paste. Well, it's quick. Okay, close and close. Take that out, plug it back in over here. We're doing this while Prime 95 is running, so we're really working this machine now. It's getting a little toasty. Well, actually, it's cool. I felt some air. I feel the air coming out down at the bottom.
oh yeah.
It's like a little bit of hot air coming out. Okay. Let me go back full screen.
Install that software.
We're still doing good on temps, and well, Prime 95 is still torture testing. Let's go to the flash drive. Let's grab the LED tool. Let's right-click, copy. How come I don't have copy? Oh well, let's just open it. Oh. Yeah, I need to copy this. Right-click. Oh, because it's Windows 11. Gosh darn it. So there's scissors. Copy. All right. Well, it's the first time I've had to do this in Windows 11.
Okay.
All right, well, there you go. And then let's go to the downloads folder as though we had downloaded it here. Right-click, paste. There's no paste. What's this?
Paste.
Ah, this is so stupid. Okay, now double-click. Should be on, breathing, cycle, or rainbow. That's it? That's all I get?
Or off.
Oh, there is. Oh, well, that works if you want it in a media room. Then
Yeah.
when you're watching a movie, you can
Right.
switch that off.
Yep.
So it's pretty simple. Let's see what breathing looks like. So the lights are just okay. Cycle must be what it was on. Oh, it's moving around. But why is it stuck on one color? How do you change the color? Can I cycle the color? Let's go to rainbow. So that's pretty much what it was on, was rainbow.
Yeah.
But cycle is defaulting to green. Breathing is also green. So what if I wanted it, let's say, red? How do I do that? Like, there's just nothing here. Pretty basic. How's our temps? Still doing really well. How do I change the color? Well, I'm confused. There should be a way to change the color. Should be like a color wheel or something. Why does it say it's off? Now it's on, but now it's off. So I turn it off, then hit breathing, and then turn it on. Oh, wait a minute. Does that change the color?
Nope, still green.
There must be some way. Usually maybe an up arrow or down arrow, something. Right or left. Nothing. So rainbow's the default. And if I hit this button here, now it says it's on when it just shut it all off.
Uh-huh.
What'd you do to it, Mitch?
Don't know.
Weird.
Pull your USB drive out of there. Not that. Oh, still green.
You would think if I could hit it multiple times, it would cycle. No. Ironic, they call it cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we doing on our temps? We're only reached 70 degrees, 75 maybe maximum after 10, or almost on 11 minutes. We're seconds away from 11 minutes. Well, let this be a lesson to me.
Don't torture it anymore.
I was postponing this review because I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward. Inexpensive, pretty basic machine. Turns out super easy to get into with that magnetic cover. Mm-hmm. 2 RAM sockets, 2 NVMe sockets. I mean, right there, available. You don't need any tools to change out the RAM, and you just need a small Phillips #1 or a JIS #1 screwdriver to remove or add another NVMe drive. It's pretty good. So, what are your guys' thoughts? How many of you would consider buying a machine like this, or would consider it a good solution for someone you know? And for what usage? And I don't think anybody's going to say gaming, but I've been wrong on a lot of things I've assumed on this build so far. So I'd be kind of curious what you guys think. Do you think it's worth it? Would you buy one? And how would you use it? Is it in performance mode? No, it is in auto, which is where I would leave it. Nelson Contreras says it would be great for his mom. I could see a lot of average, ordinary home users, especially folks who aren't super into the computer, but they're just using it, for email and Pinterest and, paying some bills. Doesn't take up a lot of room. It's very affordable. Matthew says, I'm seriously thinking about replacing my living room PC with this. William Dawson says, I would buy to use as a second computer for general use. Yeah, it'd be good as a backup machine. Lawn Dog said, this particular PC would be fine for just about everybody. Absolutely a great and fast and powerful computer for just about anybody. Alex says, absolutely would buy it for a minimalist. You could put that in your luggage. Oh, that's true. But you'd have to have a monitor. Well, you know what? You could plug it into your hotel room's TV. Usually they can do that. Byrne says it would be great for everyday stuff. Takes little space. Yeah, I don't know that I do a lot of photo or video editing on it. You could, though. Stefan, Stefan A contributes 5 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Stefan. Ben Fitzpatrick says, all my mom does is Facebook, email, and Rosetta Stone, so I'd buy it for her. It's really quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, we're torturing it, and it's not screaming. Try sliding your finger on the power cylinder towards the right, and it will become red. Yeah, so we showed that earlier. We already showed that. If you're referring to like the color of the button, it's green or blue or red, depending if it's in silent, auto, or performance. So if we look now, how are we doing? We're almost at 15 minutes, and our highest temp so far has been 75. All right, well, let's put it into performance mode for these last 5 minutes.
Okay.
So now the LED is all red now. So it's apparently the LED is reflecting whatever the power state is. I think that's what they were trying to tell me.
Whew.
Now we definitely hear that fan cranking up, and I expect we're going to see these temperatures. Oh yeah, it's already gone up 10 degrees Celsius. And we are 15 minutes and 20 seconds into the test. Still not bad though. I didn't expect this. I did not expect this. I mean, it's not thermal throttling, I don't think. I don't know where the thermal junction is on an AMD. On Intel's, it's 100 Celsius. AMD, this could be throttling. I don't know where the throttle temperature is. Carlos Hernandez says this runs cooler than my 12900K. Well, it's a lot slower than your 12900K. Does this machine have some kind of turbo button? Yeah, you can go back and rewatch the video as we go over those features we've described. The silent mode, I had it in auto, or performance, using the dial on top. So when we had the close-up camera, we showed it in the close-up. You should be able to rewind the video and watch that again. I would just keep it in auto personally. I wouldn't put it in performance mode, but just so you know, you can. And we're almost at 17 minutes, and it still hasn't had a. Well, let me just make it full screen, but it hasn't shut down or anything. Seems to be peaking out at 87.6 now. Sorry, 87.6. That may be a throttle point, or. I mean, wait a minute, does that say 94? It's changed. We're at 17 minutes. I'm going to go full 20 minutes. Remember I said it's going to do 15 because that was just torture? And I normally do 20? Well, This is doing so well, we're going to take it 3.5 more minutes, be 20 minutes. Sorry, 2.5 more minutes. It's 17 minutes and 30 seconds we've been doing this since I started the timer for the stopwatch. And it's not crashing, it's handling it. This has far exceeded my expectations. So whatever Prime 95 is doing now is not as resource intensive because you heard the fans quiet down.
Yep.
Because Prime 95 goes through a series of different tests. Some may be more RAM, some may be more CPU. And so it's normal to hear the fan ramp up and slow down the longer we run the test as it phases into different, pressing different areas of the computer processing and RAM storage to limits beyond normal reasonable limits that most people would ever do. Generally speaking, when you do press a computer this hard, you do so momentarily, even just a few seconds. Like I say, maybe you're zipping or unzipping a file, something like that. If I were rendering a video, if it's a 10-minute video, I wouldn't render a 3-hour video on it. You can, but you might want to just set that and go to bed. You should be ready in the morning. It'll do it. 87.6, I'm guessing, has got to be a throttle point.
That's, yeah.
But, you know, if it kept getting hotter even after throttling, then it would shut itself off to protect itself. We're at 19 minutes, so we just have 1 minute left. Obviously, this is going to pass with flying colors. Nelson says the throttle temperature on an AMD is 95 degrees Celsius. I don't think it's universally the same. I think it varies from chip to chip. You'd need to look up the temperature on the, what did I say this was, a 5600U? Because that's not a desktop chip and its throttle temperature is different. But I know on the Intels it's almost universally 100 degrees, but on AMDs it varies depending on the model of the chip. Either way, it hasn't crashed. That's the important thing. I don't care if it throttles. What I care about is if it has to shut itself off to protect itself. In fact, my camera hasn't shut itself off because of heat either. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
If I don't say so myself. All right, now we just crossed over 20 minutes. So back over to full screen for us. And let's go ahead and drop, oh, wrong mouse. So there's our temps. I'm looking right up here.
Yep.
Let's see how fast this cools down. If I stop prime 95, now those temps should fall like a brick over here. Yeah, we're down in the 40s. See this side as well. This is our current temps. These are our minimum lowest temps, and then these are our highest temps, our peaks. So what we're looking at right now is to see how far they've dropped just from stopping prime 95. I'm impressed. I thought this was just going to be an okay kind of disposable machine. No, I think you should be able to get, I don't know, depending on the operating systems, you should be able to get 8 years out of it for sure.
Yeah. Turn the lights off, make up a great streamer.
Yeah, or you can leave it on when you're not watching TV to have just like a little showpiece in the theater room. And then when you get ready to watch the movie and you dim the lights, you can turn the RGB off. I mean, that's easy enough to do.
Yep.
Wow. Well, very good. Ace Magician. Never heard of them. Don't know anything about them. But I am impressed with their very first product. This is my first impression of them. And I got to say, I don't know how their support or warranty is. I have no idea how that's going to work. But I mean, it's electronics. It's solid state. If you're ordering it from Amazon, you know you've got protection with Amazon. So if it works, chances are it's going to work for a very long, long time. I would still advise you to get a little duster, like something like this, and take that panel off and just blow it out. Don't make contact, even though this is a carbon brush. Avoid touching anything, just blow it out. And hit it on the front and the back. You want to make sure you keep that little cooling wheel free of dust that will build up over time. Depending on your environment, you know, us here in Phoenix, we get lots of dust. If you're in a more humid environment, you probably wouldn't have to do that. I would say blow it out once a year. If you're in a dusty environment, twice a year. How often do you blow your computer?
January and June, twice a year.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and shut this down. I'd say everything is a go. One more time, I have to go full screen so I can see the buttons. So we'll go to the start menu, go to the power button, and shut her down. Now, I can go back over to camera 1. We'll go back full screen. Does anybody have any questions for us? We have a few minutes left, 15, 20 minutes, that we will be happy to address any related or unrelated questions about this build, about what's coming up in the future, or if you're having some difficulty or trouble with a problem with your computer, this would be the time to ask. Also, if you're there in the chat room and you believe you have an answer for the person asking, please feel free to provide that answer as a sometimes there's 6 different ways to solve the same problem, or sometimes the question gets interpreted differently. So one answer may be more accurate than another simply based on their understanding of the question.
And Chad, I have some news that I have been cast as a lead role in a short film where I'm going to play a father who befriends a homeless man who I want to kill my son. So that's kind of interesting. We have a college here in Phoenix called Arizona State University, ASU. They have a wonderful film school, and I met one of the directors and auditioned, and he said, "You're perfect for it." And so, yeah, that shoots mid-October, so there may be one Friday in October I'll be working. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah.
So that's October, huh?
That's October. And if you are new to our show or whatever, yes, I am an actor, and you could do your Uncle Mitch a great favor by going on to IMDb, which of course is short for Internet Movie Database, and just typing in Mitch Morrison, because when you visit my IMDb page, it kind of helps my star rating when people kind of visit my particular page. And so,
I didn't know it did that.
Yeah, and so I would appreciate that. And as we move forward, I'm meeting the director this weekend, and we're kind of going over the script and costume fittings. He needs my weight and this and that. He did ask me, do I have a wedding ring? And I told him yes, because I audition a lot where I play dads, so I kind of went out and bought one, I think at Walmart for $80 or something like that. So I said, well, you're in luck. As a lifelong bachelor, yes, I do have a I do have a wedding ring that I wear on occasion. And he said, yeah, that's we're going to need you to wear that for the shoot. And so the only thing interesting, there's a scene where I'm on the golf course on a putting green, and the only thing I told him was there's just a little problem that I'm left-handed, and you're probably going to find a bag of clubs for a right-hander. So if you can't find a left-handed putter, you're going to have to give me the right one, the right-handed, and I'll practice a little with it. And he said, yeah, we're not going to show you, actually making a putt or whatever, but it'd be nice to have you where at least hit the ball, and then we'll cut to the hole or something like that. And I said, okay, again, if you can't find a left-handed putter, just you'll have to give me the right one so I can take home and practice where at least I look like I'm doing. And so I said, I'm sorry that I'm left-handed. I just was born that way. So he's no problem. So I don't know whether they'll be able to find
Seems like a strange thing to apologize about.
a left-handed putter. So as growing up as a kid, I did play golf, and I did find a bag of left-handed clubs.
They sell left-handed. I mean, a golf. What do they call the golf stores? There's a name for them. They're going to have stuff like that. Plenty of left-handed golfers out there.
Yep.
Mark Gaines with a 10-pound contribution.
Hey, Mark.
Says, can you get a VESA mount on the back of a monitor? Well, there's no VESA mount for this. This is really, what would be the point of RGB if you were going to hide it?
Right.
No, there's no VESA mount for this. You'd want more of a nook would be better suited for if you wanted to mount it behind the monitor.
And because there's ventilation holes here,
well, that's true too.
You could not take a piece of Velcro and put it here, because you don't want to cover up this ventilation. I guess you could do it up here, and it doesn't. Well, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. I don't know, even with a piece of Velcro here.
I wouldn't take something that wasn't designed to be mounted a certain way and force it. I think you'd be better off buying the right thing. So if you wanted to VESA mount, then I would buy a VESA mountable PC, such as a Nook or maybe the Gigabyte Bricks, if they still make that. I wouldn't force something like this. You could have consequences like airflow, and you wouldn't want it to fall. So Let's see what else we've got here going on in the chat room. But thank you for the question and the contribution, Mark. Let's see. Elijah thinks it's worth the money. Yeah, I mean, this is how easy it is to upgrade. I just was not expecting that. Let's see. Carrie, are you going to switch all of your customers to Windows 11? I'm still waiting for a reason. Like, what? Let me ask you this, Kyle. What's in it for my customers? What will they be able to do? Like, how do I present that? How would you present that to your customer? Would you like me to upgrade to Windows 11? It's an hour of labor that I will charge you for, but the upgrade itself is free. And your customer's going to say, well, why?
Yeah, what benefit do I get from it?
Yeah, why would I upgrade anybody to Windows 11? What advantage would that give them? So that's my question to you. When you answer my question, then I can answer yours. But I think you're going to answer your own question when you realize there's no reason, there's no benefit to Windows 11. Not yet. And in fact, there may be a Windows 12 next year. So we might just skip over Windows 11 if those rumors are true. And I just won't even, like, I didn't do Vista for any of my clients.
Or Windows 8?
Some of my clients had 8. But because 8 was around a long time, so when they bought a new computer, they get it. But as soon as Windows 10 came out, they were very quick to get out of it. So let's see, what other questions do we have? This is the time to ask if you have questions. Mitch, they say that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Mitch, love the Toto shirt. That's Elijah.
Yeah.
Lawn Dog said you can just put the computer behind the monitor. You don't have to hang it. Well, that's assuming they don't have a monitor stand or something. So you're making assumptions. Let's see.
Oh, someone was kind enough to put my Mitch Morrison at the IMDb.
Oh, Starshine did that. Right on.
Thank you.
Mark Gossman says, thanks for everything. Acronis is still good software, even though it's subscription. Everything's going subscription, guys. Another couple of years, nothing's going to be a perpetual license anymore. Mitch, did I miss the corny joke of the day? Yeah, you can rewind and be able to watch what you missed.
52 shirt, Mitch? No, I'm hung on 50. As I told Uncle Kerry, that was going to be my 50 and out until the boys tour next year, and I'm sure I'll go see them 2 or 3 times. Phoenix, Vegas, LA, of course, Tucson if they play. So I'll have to maybe break that rule, but for now, 50.
Don't hold your breath. Alex wants to know the keyboard that you use on the channel. Do you find it hard to use when you use it for everyday use, since it's kind of small and no number pad? I very rarely use a keypad. Very rarely. This is very similar to my laptop's keyboard in the shape of the keys, the spacing.
Yeah.
And my laptop here at Studio B is my primary machine. So
I use this in my screening room.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
These have built-in rechargeable batteries. You don't replace them. So there's a little USB port here, and you plug it into a USB. You can plug it into your computer or plug it into
anything, power bank,
cell phone charger. And then when the light goes green, it's charged, and it stays charged for
quite a long,
at least 4 months for me. Same with the mouse. Again, there's no removable battery. It's all sealed. There's a USB plug here. Just plug it into a USB charger once every few months. Well, I guess we're done. We're done with that, aren't we? And then I keep the dongle right inside the mouse, just like that, so I never lose it. And that one dongle communicates with both the mouse and keyboard. And I don't have a very large bench, so the size is very important that it's small. But I can, I've been working on computers
For 30 years.
More than
Over
30 years. And then I took typing in high school. So I did a lot of typewriter work too. Typewriters, especially the old manual ones, you had to have strength in your fingers to have the hammer hit the paper. Because if you didn't hit the paper, it was very faded.
Right.
So you had to. Then we got to the IBM electric typewriters, which were like really cool.
Yeah.
I've been typing on every kind of keyboard you can possibly imagine. My Atari 400 had a membrane keyboard, which was maddening. I have typed on different types of, like the color computer from Radio Shack had these chiclet. It was terrible, terrible keyboard. I'm not particular about my keyboard. If it's got keys, I'll press them. I'm good. I think it's kind of weird that there's like a generation of kids growing up that care about brown versus cherry versus, blue MX, the feel of the. What? Can you imagine growing up with typewriters and being sensitive about that's a weird sensitivity to have.
And in elementary school, Carrie used a quill and an inkwell to do the right. No, that was a little before your time.
4 score
and 7. Was that a turkey quill? Yeah.
No, I am very grateful that I'm not one of those people that cares how. I mean, some keyboards I'm not quite as fast with. But it's not a major difference.
Have you ever tried the split? I've never tried the split.
I was about to say those ergonomic ones.
Yeah, I mean, it just freaks me out. Some people
hate them.
Some people are great on it, but I'm like,
I had a customer ask me if they still sold them. He wanted one.
Oh.
He said he loves those. I said, I think they stopped making them. I said, look on Amazon. But when I went to a customer's and they had that, that slowed me down.
Right.
Right, and just like with mice, I can use a trackball, I can use a touchpad, I can use like the little eraser mouse like Toshiba had on the laptops.
Yeah,
I love those. I don't really care for the touchpads, but the more I use my smartphone and the touchpads are a little easier for me now. But as a technician, I don't have the luxury of deciding what a keyboard feels like. That belongs to my customer, and I might only see a customer once ever. And then tomorrow I'll see another one. And no 2 customers have the same equipment. And you're there to do a job. You're not there to be comfortable. So you get the job done. And honestly, I don't really think much of it. I like these keyboards because they're small. I like that they were inexpensive. I like that the batteries are built in and they're rechargeable. And I like that one dongle. Because I used to have like a Logitech keyboard and Logitech mouse, and each one had to have its own dongle. Then Logitech came up with that unifying dongle, and you had to program it in. This is just right out of the box, plug it in and go.
Yep.
Now, as a main keyboard, I use a Corsair K55 is my main keyboard. But it's, this big. There's no room for it here. But it's very subjective, isn't it?
Yep.
Like what music you like or what volume you like. It's up to you to decide what food you like, what haircut you want, what clothes you want to wear today. If you're going to get a tattoo, what are you going to get? Where are you going to get it? These are all decisions that are only right for one person on the planet and nobody else, and that's you. And whether people agree with you or disagree with you, who cares? What difference does it make?
And this came in really handy when I went to Thailand, chat, because I had a laptop that had a few keys that didn't really function. And it was ridiculous to throw the laptop out, and Carrie's like, well,
or even paying for the repair on an old laptop.
He's like, well, let me get you one of these.
Yeah, just plug the USB in.
You got a USB? Yeah, I got a USB port, and I'm like, I'm back in business with the laptop.
If you've got a laptop where it's got sticky keys or the touchpad isn't working, you can just buy an external USB, plug it in. The Wi-Fi stops working, buy an external USB Wi-Fi. Monitor stops working, plug in an HDMI cord. Most laptops have, and go right out to an external monitor. The laptop may be so old it's not worth fixing, but if it's functioning and it's just a part of it's bad, these USB devices, USB mice, USB keyboards, USB Wi-Fi, they're cheap, like $20.
And can extend the life of your laptop.
So again, if you have any other questions for me, this will be the time to ask. We're about ready to wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for their contributions, their support.
You getting hungry? I'm kind of peckish myself. Yeah.
Our thoughts are out to Peter Leacock. He had lost a family member.
Okay.
But thoughts are with him. And of course, thanks to everybody for your support, your contributions.
For tuning in, hanging with us today on your Friday or Saturday or Sunday or wherever you're from in the world. I'm still researching Vietnam, you know, with my little notes, what cities would I like to hit, and North, Hanoi, and South, Saigon, and this and that. And so just keeping my notes for my next trip.
Mats Olaf says, sorry I missed you today. Oh, sorry, we're glad you got in to say hello anyway. I think Mats Olaf is it Norway? Sweden. I should know by now. Mats Olaf's been watching the channel a long time. Jim S. wants to know what the benefits would be of Windows 12. Well, I mean,
if I could see in the future, I'd see, yeah. See what I could see.
The idea is that if Windows 11 doesn't have any benefits, then what benefits would Windows 12 have, right? I mean, I think that's a line. It's like a joke, tongue-in-cheek kind of a question, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is, if there is going to be a Windows 12, why would I waste my time investing time and my customers' money putting them in Windows 11 and optimizing, learning how to use it, and, you know, making that investment as a business owner into something that is just going to be replaced with another version in a relatively short time. And if that's what happens, I don't want to make that investment in Windows 11. Not if there's going to be a Windows 12, and I'm talking before Windows 10 expires. So if any new operating system comes out from Microsoft beyond Windows 11 before October 14th of 2025, that last operating system before Windows 10 expires, that's the one I want to invest in, because that's likely going to be around. You know, look how long Windows 10's been around. Yep. So I only have so many hours in the day, and I have a lot of customers waiting for help. And the last thing I want to do is create a problem. Like, I don't need to create. Problems happen naturally on their own without me creating them. So to put in, let's say, Windows 11, and now they have, say, some piece of software that doesn't work with some old copy machine they've got that's 15 years old. They don't want to drop $25,000 on a new copy machine. They're not going to be very happy with me, right? So whatever operating system will be the latest by the time Windows 10 expires October 14, 2025, that's the one we want to be on as a business owner. That's the one I want to make sure my clients are going to be able to have, and I'm able to answer and support their questions. So right now, Windows 11 is still being developed. Quite frankly, Microsoft has released it, but when they talked about releasing Windows 11, they talked about all these bells, whistles, and features, but they're very, very cautious at releasing them because of the negative flashback they get. So now they're going very slow and very gentle. But I think 80%, 70 or 80% of all computers run Windows 10. I think that's what the number is. Or if it's all Windows computers, like Windows 10 owns the roost. Windows 11 is not taking hold the way Microsoft had hoped, but it's also not giving anybody any reason. So if Windows 12 never happens and Microsoft continues in their progress of evolving Windows 11, then I need to have experience and knowledge to be able to deploy and support whatever operating system I'm going to advise my clients to go to before the expiration of Windows 10. I'm not going to wait till the last minute. I'm not going to go to October 1st and go, okay, let's deal with this now. That would be a nightmare for me. But certainly ask me that question in January of 2025, because that gives us a full 10 months to upgrade everybody. And I'll have the answer for you.
Mitch, you should visit Ireland. Actually, that's on my bucket list, Ireland and Scotland, since my last name is Morrison, and my father at 96 years old still reminds me that we're Scotch-Irish, so he's like, you've got to, you know, make a tribute and visit the motherland at least once in your life. And I went, yes, Pops, I will. So that's definitely on the list.
And, you know, since we haven't done a show since the Queen has passed, our thoughts are out to everybody there in Great Britain. She was a well-loved monarch.
96.
96
My
years old.
father's 96. He'll
So-
be 97 in April.
We have King Charles now.
King Charles III.
the third, right?
The third, yep.
But it could be a year or more before they do the official ceremony, is my understanding. But boy, he waited a long time for his turn, though, didn't he?
And is he, I think he's 73.
Is he
I think
that old?
Yeah, he's 73, because that was my thing I wanted to look up. I'm like, how old is King Charles III?
Why is YouTube not giving me the option to send a 3-month message? I don't know what a 3-month message is. Mike Broden says, hello, I'm late. Well, we're just wrapping up here, Mike. Brett Kennedy says, thank you, Carrie. Yeah, so most of you watching are home users. You know, you can use Windows 11. You don't own any responsibility. Your phone's not going to ring off the hook when something doesn't work. Stop everything you're doing, get in your car and get over to our office right now, because this Windows 11 you installed isn't, you know, we can't, my employees aren't able to work. This is costing me lots and lots of money, and my customers are pissed off that we can't help. You don't want yourself in that position unless you don't want to be in business very long. But as a home user, you can do whatever you want. There's no real consequences that affect anybody but you, so have at it. In business, I don't want to bury myself. I mean, there's got to be I've got to be able to look my customer in the eye and explain to them why this is the right thing to do, whether staying with Windows 10 or going to Windows 11. And that's just how I run my business. You know, when you run your business, if you want to do the opposite, that's your choice to make. There was another question I missed in here that scrolled off the screen. Gosh darn it, I wanted to get to it. Are we going to get barbecued wings today? Oh, I don't do barbecued wings. Everything's got to be deep fried. I swear there was a question in here that I wanted to address, and now I can't find it. The Pro Shop, thank you. That's so Hal Grubbs. I was trying to think what the name of the store is. It's the Pro Shop. Yeah, they're going to have lots of left-handed options in there, of course.
I guess I could look for one.
I mean, we live in Arizona, where it's like second largest retirement capital of the world, next to Florida. There's lots of golf courses. I guess Utah has a lot too. You could probably go to one of those sporting goods stores, like Dick's Sporting Goods, or I don't know, would REI or Cabela's have golf clubs?
Don't know.
Whatever the question was, I've missed it. So anyway, if you did ask a question and I haven't addressed it, it's probably because I didn't see it, and feel free to ask again. Marco says, my next time in Arizona, deep fried pizza will be. Gross. Yeah, Marco came out for a little visit. We went to Grimaldi's Pizza.
Grimaldi's. Very nice.
Mitch joined us and just kind of hung out.
Stop talking about food. All right. I'm salivating. All right.
Tristan says, in our office, we still use Windows 7 for our systems. It works fine. Oh yeah, it works great. Like if I was a hacker, I would love you guys. I could break into those systems so easily. I could steal everything about your business. You wouldn't even know I was in there. I could be in there right now and you wouldn't know. So if you're connecting Windows 7 to the internet for a business, it just tells me you have no respect for your customers. I'm assuming you have customer data, right? So you're basically telling your customers, we're too cheap to upgrade. It's going to cost us money, but we're still billing you for our service. But we're not going to protect your data with reasonable, like that's the negative way I see it. I find it so disrespectful that you would do, like if you made it to if you made your client sign something that we're going to put you in our Windows 7 computer that's connected to the internet and you're going to sign that you're okay with that, I bet you have a lot of customers that would say, I'm not comfortable with that. I think I'll take my business somewhere else. But I don't know what your business is, and I don't know what kind of data, and I don't know that these Windows 7 computers are hooked up to the internet. But I know it's nothing I would condone, and nothing I think any professional would ever condone. I wouldn't consider them to be a professional anyway. It's more of a hobbyist home thinker. It's too much gambling if it's connected to the internet. But, you know, hey, that's my opinion, and I have certain morals and values that I have to meet them in order to sustain my business. I mean, it only takes one lawsuit, and I'm done. I'm not that big of a company. So to cut corners and try to save a nickel, very irresponsible. Let's see. Yeah, now look, business owners can do whatever they want. I mean, they can run Windows 3.1 for all I care. It doesn't make a difference in my world at all. I just feel bad for the unsuspecting customers who will become victims. It's just it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. The fact that it even hasn't happened yet is quite surprising. And the only exception would be that they have those computers off the network. But not my problem, not my circus, not my monkeys. All right. All right. Patrick says, I still use DOS with Telnet. There you go. Just Telnet that bad boy in there. Don't even worry about VPNs. We don't need that. Just open communication. Why not?
So remember, friends, before we get out of here, Rosanna says, hold the line when she turns 99. And to her friend Pamela, she says, I'll be over you when you bless the rains down in Africa. How's that?
That's really worked that's about Toto songs into that too. Ron Barnish says he's having trouble getting YouTube notifications. Depending on what you're using, Ron. If you have a phone, load the YouTube app, turn notifications on in the settings of the phone under the apps, allow the app to notifications. Be sure you go into the settings icon of your YouTube settings. If you're on a desktop computer, up in the top right corner is your little logo. Click on that, go to settings, under notification. Make sure that when you subscribe to a channel, you click the bell icon, and then it's going to ask you if you only want some notifications. Like, do you want to know sometimes when this channel posts? Do you want to know all the time when the channel posts? Or do you not want to know at all? Basically, my schedule is I'm broadcasting every Friday at 1 o'clock. So you know I'm going to be on Friday at 1 o'clock, like I always am. During the week, as time permits, I will go live, but the last 2, has it been 3 weeks?
You've been busy with clients. And
well, the bottom line is all those computers you've seen Mitch and I build over the year, where do you think they are? So I've made it my goal since, well, before you left for vacation,
to get them out.
And that's why you didn't see Mitch on here for a while. So I said, look, I have to get these machines out. This is a massive liability if this building were to catch fire, a flood, a theft. I will lose tens of thousands of dollars, and this stuff is depreciating in value every day. So each machine takes about 20 hours of labor, from ordering, unboxing, building, cable management, installing software, purchasing the software key, activating the software key, optimizing Windows, downloading the drivers, downloading the updates. Then I got to rebox the computer. I've got to get the address it's being shipped to. I got to wait in line at FedEx. Then I got to get the receipt. I got to scan the receipt, send it to the customer so they can see, here's what it cost. Here's your tracking info. Here's when you should receive it. This whole thing is about 20 hours for one person. And while I'm doing that, I'm also answering the calls from my clients. I'm also fixing things as needed around the house. Sometimes something happens, I have no choice. I still have to go to doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, haircuts. And now since I'm getting ready to go on vacation, I'm trying to wrap up a lot of loose ends so that I don't have my mind, being occupied with everything that's waiting for me at home. So I have a couple more machines I want to get out, like the train computer. I want to get that shipped out to Peter before I leave, but I got to completely disassemble it to take that little stupid rubber piece off. Then I want to retest the heat, because it seemed like it got awfully hot awfully quick, so I don't think that heat sink's sitting right. Once I get that all put back, taken apart and then put back together, then I got to figure out how the heck I'm supposed to ship it, because the way it ships, it's in 2 separate pieces. Well, I can't make it 2 separate pieces with the cables running between them.
Right.
And those little plastic tabs, they're real easily broken. So I think I'm gonna have to figure out how to pop those tabs out, put them like in a Ziploc bag, and make a little video for Peter to say, hey, when you get this thing,
This is what you do.
you gotta put these tabs in. If I leave those tabs in, I guarantee in the shipping and the tussling that's gonna happen, they're gonna break, and I don't know where you're gonna get replacements.
Right.
So I'd really like that off my mind and have it shipped before I leave. And then we've got some machines that'll be for veteran giveaways, and if time permits, I'd like to at least get one out.
Okay.
So best thing you can do is just make sure your notifications are turned on. You can follow me on Twitter. I usually post on Twitter when I'm going live. You can follow me on Facebook. I usually post on Facebook when I'm going live. But the best way is simply YouTube notifications. Just turn them on.
And give us a thumbs up.
If you want to give us a thumbs up, yeah. I mean, it costs you nothing. Doesn't hurt anything. You could watch any YouTube video, even one you hate, and you could still exhibit a little kindness and show a little love. It doesn't cost anything. And then also, of course, the subscribe button if you want. If you haven't subscribed to me, hit the subscribe button. You'll see the bell. When you click the bell, a little box opens up and it wants to know if you want to receive no notifications, some notifications, or all notifications for that specific channel only. If you've previously subscribed and you don't remember how you set that, just go back over to, well, if you're watching my channel now, go to that little bell icon and click it and see what it's set to. And if you don't know how your notifications are enabled, then you go to the top right corner where your logo is of your YouTube account and then go to your settings there. You can also type in how to enable notifications in the YouTube search. Many content creators have made endless videos on this topic, but pay attention to the date. Don't watch a video that was made in 2021. Make sure any video that's telling you how to enable the notifications and where to find it that was made in 2022, because YouTube keeps changing the interface and the processes. So it won't do you any good to learn the instructions from 4 years ago. Pay very close attention, and it's a good rule anytime you watch any video, just take a look at when it was published. I see people making comments on videos I made 8 years ago, and they act like I just posted it yesterday because they just saw it. So I don't know what to tell you. The date is right below the video. It's the very first thing under the bottom left of the video. It's the date, at least in the browser. How it displays on a cell phone or smart TV, I don't know, but it is there. So I think I got everything out.
You got a nice outro?
Ron Barnish says, I did that, it will not stay on. Then you didn't do it right, Ron, because it does stay on unless you did something wrong. This is a problem that really bothers me, is when people claim they did it right, but it's not working, then you didn't do it right. It's not it that's broken. You did not set it correctly, or you are doing something that's undoing it and you don't realize you're doing that. This does not change on its own. So beyond that, I don't know what else. I mean, sometimes people, they want a specific answer that's not the right answer, and they will fight for it. And I'm telling you, Ron, if that was a real problem, it wouldn't just be you. You'd see all these people in the chat constantly say, so if it's nobody else but you, the problem isn't in YouTube. There's something you're not doing correctly, or you're inadvertently changing it when you're doing something else and you're not realizing you're doing it. So I don't know what to tell you beyond that. Like I said, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook. I will eventually get to a set schedule. I think when I get to Michigan and I get the studio set up, a lot of the business, not all of my computer business is local. So when I go to Michigan, I won't have any business.
Right.
So that should give me a lot more time for YouTube. Now, of course, my clients out here will still call me with questions and I can still remote in, and I will be traveling back and forth throughout the year. It's not like I'm going there and I'm never coming back. But if I'm out there for, let's say, 8 weeks and the customer's got a bad power supply, there's nothing I can do. Somebody has to go out and change it. But when I have that all settled in, I will have a regular broadcast schedule.
Nice.
But you haven't missed anything, Ron. I mean, I didn't do any videos this week other than today. Same with last week. And I think maybe the week before.
Yeah.
It's been rough. Like if I'm not making videos, then you know I have a ton of things happening.
Yep.
Because videos are I enjoy making them, and they're a priority for me. So if something else is keeping me from making the video, don't assume that I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV. What you should be assuming is probably what's more likely, which is that I'm getting buried in phone calls and support requests, or something personal in my life. Could be a health thing or to a family member that's keeping me, and it must be something important. And that's all you need to know. This isn't going away. This is something I'm building towards, and I would very much love to be able to set more than one day a week.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, last week I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to do that show. So the good thing about saying, dedicating myself to Fridays at 1 is no matter how hectic the week gets, I should be able to always take 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours out of one day, commit to it no matter what. But boy, that last week was tough. Yeah. I almost didn't do the show last week, but I'm glad I did, because otherwise it would have been 2 weeks without content. So do bear in mind that this isn't my life. This is about 15-20% of my life. 80% is everything else, and I can't just switch it all off. I can start to fade it out, slowly fade it out, and then more with YouTube. But this whole buying the house thing, yeah, I can't be out shopping for a house and here making videos. Right. So I appreciate that consideration, that I am juggling a lot of different things at the same time, with the end goal being that this will be my main thing. Yep. I don't want this 20%. I want this 90%. But I can't just abandon everything else I've built up. So just, hang in there. We'll get there together. And again, playing with the different cameras, that's all part of this big picture, is to figure out which is going to be the main camera and how am I going to set this up so that when I have Studio C, I don't have to make all this, after buying a house, the last thing I want to have to do is buy a camera. Yeah. So this will all be invested. I'll know which ones are ideal for the type of filming that I'm doing, and I can focus then on the content. So we're just in this in-between place. So I appreciate your understanding with that. And like I said, you should go through some of the other videos from other content creators about the notification settings. Look for recent posts. There's something that when you see it, you're going to recognize what it is. And then when you do, let me know so we can let other people know should they encounter the same thing, just so we can all benefit. But there's a piece you're missing somewhere, and I don't know what it is. But if you look for it, you will find it. And Ricky B joins us. Hey, Ricky. Well, we're just saying goodbye. And Selden Bell's there in the chat. Selden, of course, did the animated GIF cube that's running on the cooler screen there. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. All my friends in blue, everybody who's participated, your questions, hanging out with us. Again, I'll be back Friday at 1 o'clock. If there is time this week, I will broadcast if time permits. I am just trying to get things wrapped up the closer I get to going on vacation, and I'm ready. I need it. Like, I am so burned out.
Yeah. Well, trust me, Chad, he needs it. He's ready.
Yeah. And if I'm lucky, there'll be a house for sale that I want. And if I find it on day 1 of my vacation, I can just do nothing for once in my life and say, hey, yeah, it's all in the process. I don't think that's likely, but
right. It's possible.
It's all steps in the right direction. How or when, how I get to the destination and when, I don't know, but I'm moving that way.
There you go.
That's all I can tell you. Thanks again. We will see you all again very, very soon. Until then,
bye for now.